What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, back once again with another episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live over on our YouTube page, along with our Facebook page today, guys. So thank you very much for everybody certainly joining us, as always. Good to see everybody. We got a ton of topics, some honorable mentions, your live viewer questions even that we're going to go ahead and take care of later on today. But it's not just myself. While we certainly don't have the whole crew on board this week, I definitely am supported none other by Stuart Branscombe himself. What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, man. Good to be here. Really low energy today, but I'm definitely looking forward to today's show.
Well, with our powers of coffee combined, we shall be able to get through this episode for sure and pull up this extra energy that we certainly need, man. I know you said you started new hours at your job. They moved you to another theater.
Yeah. So I've started working at a theater in San Francisco, and yeah, it's a great job and everything. And now I'm finally working like actual full hours this time instead of like
Nice.
just as full as they can
part-time
possibly give. Yeah, instead of the part-time stuff. But the one thing that sucks about it though is because it's in the city, I'm commuting, and it's usually like a 45-minute to hour drive, depending on traffic. So until my girlfriend and I find a place in the city, it's going to be like that for the next few months. So not looking forward to the commute part, but the actual job itself is pretty fun.
I hear like the commute around California is just atrocious anyway.
Yeah.
Is that the same in the Bay Area as it is maybe for like LA and stuff? Just a constant traffic?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, it's definitely not as bad as LA though. In LA, it's just like I go to Southern California every now and then to visit my brother, and yeah, it's just terrible. The traffic in LA. I couldn't imagine having to commute like that to work every day. I would go insane. But it's like I was originally planning on taking public transportation, but then I found out that the one bus that actually kind of goes between my work and my area, it's like closed at I think 10:45, and I get off at 11, so it's just
you missed the last bus, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to hate when that happened out there. When I used to live up in New York and New Jersey, sort of thing. The idea of missing the last bus would be terrible. But yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm glad that you're back to work and stuff. I finally just got the opportunity to go to the movies yesterday for the first time. I mean, the girlfriend decided to have a nice little outing out here. We went to go see A Quiet Place 2, which is just as good as the original. I had a really good time watching it. We saw it at the Dolby Cinemas, so great quality, great sound. It was fantastic to go back inside. I mean, we walked in the door and literally the smell of popcorn just punched the both of us. Like Cindy walked in first and she turned around and looked at me. She was like, wow. And I walked in and I was like, oh. It's like heaven again. It's like being back home, man. It was so great to be back in the theaters again.
I think one of the funniest things about working at the theaters right now is that, despite the fact that we've been open for like 2 or 3 months now, I keep having customers saying, oh my gosh, this is so great. It's my first time back to the theater. And honestly, that's kind of fun. It means that most of the customers we deal with have a really good attitude going in because they're just happy to be back at the theaters. And it makes it so it's like actually more fun to help them.
Yeah, I bet it is, man. I bet it is. Just having that enthusiasm back in the theaters. Yeah, but good times, guys. If you haven't had the opportunity to go ahead and check out a theater or go out to the theaters again, please go ahead and support your local theater, man, because people are going out for sure, especially if you're vaccinated. I don't know if your theater, I know AMC, the one that we went to, didn't really require masks anymore. They didn't. I mean, if you were like fully vaccinated, yeah, but they didn't have any signs up or anything like that. So it was kind of sporadic in regards to people wearing masks at the theater. But I felt safe for the most part. I mean, I was vaccinated, so no big deal for me, at least.
Yeah, and at our theater, we require it when you're like in the lobby and getting popcorn. But then, the moment you get into your theater, you're good. Because more than likely, people who are watching it now are probably vaccinated. Because in the Bay Area, we actually have like, I think we actually have like an overshipment of supplies when it comes to the vaccines. So we got more than what we need.
Is your does your theater still block off seating, or is it pretty much open 100% capacity right now?
I'm actually not sure with the new one. I know that with the one I was working at before, because the seats are really small, they have to block off seats still. But I'm assuming with this one, they probably don't, because the seats are a lot bigger.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Quick shout out goes out to I believe this is AJ, Dino Real Soul Green. He's got the picture of Tessa Rao up there, Izzy from Dino Fury. So I am wondering if that's AJ there. But he does ask Stuart, he says, can you give me a discount if I go to your theater? $3 for medium popcorn and soda. How much does that run at your place? Probably like $12.
Medium soda, I want to say that's like four or something, and then a medium popcorn is like 6.25.
About 10, yeah, about 10,
Yeah.
11 bucks. Yeah.
You want to,
So
if you
for
want a discount, you just got to download the Cinemark app and then sign up for our monthly membership, and you get 20% off.
oh, yeah, it's Stuart over here promoting Cinemark. I love it. Yeah, there you go, AJ. If you want a discount, man, go get the app, bro. Go get the app.
Oh, one last thing I gotta say about our theater that's really cool though is we actually have a film projector, which is something that I don't know many theaters that still have, but it's currently not in use, but we do like apparently use it every now and then when it comes to like actual movies shot on film. So
That's cool.
if I had known that, I totally would have seen Hateful Eight at this theater.
Oh yeah, that would have been a great option to play it on. Take some pictures of it, man. It may be like one of the fewest remaining film projectors in the world at this point. So take a picture of it just so you have evidence, man.
Honestly, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, great to see you again, Stuart. Glad things are going well. Guys, do us a favor since Indy's not here. He is under the weather, dealing with some health issues himself. So definitely just keep him in your thoughts. Make sure that everything goes well, and we'll certainly keep you guys up to date and posted. And hopefully we'll be able to have Indy back certainly next week, guys. But definitely go ahead and show Indy some love today. But outside of that, guys, we have a stacked show today. We definitely have about maybe 6 or 7 topics we're going to get into. Stuart, I don't know if you managed to have an honorable mention or not this week. Do you happen to have one?
I do, and I have a feeling that it's probably the same as yours.
Uh-oh. I'm curious
sure,
to know then. Go for it. What is your honorable mention this week?
It was something that we posted on our Facebook page, and it was like the crossovers that we never got this year when it came to the CW, specifically with Black Lightning. Because it was cool because I was like looking at the ideas that they had for what would have happened if they were able to cross over, and how they wanted to cross over with both the Flash and with Batwoman this season, but they never were able to work it out because of COVID and everything. But like looking at their ideas, what they had. And it's funny because it sounds like what they ended up doing with the Painkiller spinoff was what they were originally planning on doing with, what they were originally planning on doing with like kind of a Batwoman crossover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty cool because the show's been very distant from the Arrowverse. So it's cool that now that is part of Earth Prime, they're actually kind of taking advantage of that. Seems like they wanted to take advantage of that, but sadly they never had the opportunity.
Man, COVID just screwed up so much stuff for us, man, as fans, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I do wonder if some of these shows probably would have stuck around a little bit longer if we had maybe gotten an extra season out of some of these shows. But unfortunately with COVID, that's a bit of a bummer. But you know what? There may still be hope for Cress Williams. He may, in fact, still return at some particular point in time. Perhaps maybe next season. We'll definitely talk about that because we definitely have a Flash topic that we're going to be bringing up for you guys. But for a second there, you did scare me, Stuart. I thought for a second you did have my honorable mention. That was not my honorable mention, but close enough because it still deals with the DC. This week, Stuart, believe it or not, and this story is also on our Facebook page if you guys want to go ahead and check it out. There was a story that the WB executives, when they were doing the Justice League movie, apparently WB reportedly didn't understand the Flash time travel in Snyder's cut at the very end, which is kind of hard to wrap my head around. I don't want to say it's hard to wrap my head around. I mean, when you come to think about it, executives trying to understand comic book movies, probably not up their wheelhouse. But it does mention in here, says this is from the VFX supervisor, John Desjardins. He confirmed outright that the studio didn't get it and wanted it out. He said it's funny because that was always the story. We shot that way back in 2016. It was something that I don't know what it was, the mood of the studio at the time. They just didn't get it, to be honest. They were just like, I don't understand this. And maybe it was a previous nature of it or the post visuals nature or whatever, but it was one of the first things that they threw out after they pulled Zach off the movie, sadly. which was a little bit of a bummer because I thought that was a fantastic, epic conclusion to a great Steppenwolf fight, where we get the opportunity to really see the Justice League put in that ass whooping, yet still managing to find themselves at the tail end of defeat. And it's really the Flash that comes through and kind of saves the day, which is completely different than what we got in the theatrical movie. But watching the Snyder Cut, I thought this moment actually floored me because I was not expecting this to be in there and for it to be the resolution of this battle. But I absolutely love getting an opportunity to see Barry Allen use his abilities like that in a really pivotal moment for the Justice League. I thought it did wonders, not only for the group, but just showing that heroism that this team has kind of put together in regards to when they have a plan and things fail, you still got Barry there that could certainly help things out by just running backwards in time. But I loved it. Does this surprise you at all, Stuart, that they didn't get it?
A lot, because that scene was extremely self-explanatory.
Yes. Like how did you not know what he was doing?
Like maybe I could see if it was like very, very pre-production with the VFX and they were judging before it was even finished, then I could see that being confusing. But with what I saw in the finished product, that was very self-explanatory and amazingly well-directed and just well-animated scene altogether.
Yeah, visually it's great.
Yeah, so that's really bizarre to me that they didn't understand that.
I literally watched a man watching that scene, and he was crying the entire time. It was like a reaction video that I watched, and the guy just the single tear coming down, his eyes just welling up with water. Yeah, he absolutely loved that scene. But yeah, I guess for me, maybe if it was like pre-visuals, I can get that. But also the idea of like, isn't there a storyboard, right? Hasn't he explained all this to you as to how this movie is going to go? I think just use your imagination, guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand the idea of them not really getting it, but it was a fantastic moment. If you guys have not had the opportunity to check out Zack Snyder's Justice League, it was a great conclusion to the movie for sure.
Feel like if I was in that room with all the executives, yeah, we don't understand the scene. My response would be, yeah, and I don't understand you not understanding the scene.
For real, I don't know. Like, how much more do we have to spell this out for you guys? I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the idea when you're not familiar with maybe the comic book genre, when they don't really know the powers of some of these heroes. You just really see like the disconnect, perhaps, that we had when it comes to maybe WB executives at the time, considering just how influential Zack Snyder certainly is in that comic book genre. So definitely two people clashing for sure, to say the least, and we saw the end result. Last honorable mention though, I do just want to go ahead and pull up real quick. We did get ourselves a brand new photo for the upcoming Uncharted movie with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. Getting an opportunity to see those two on set together. This looks like an official image getting us ready for the upcoming Uncharted movie. I can't remember its actual release date, but I thought it was pretty cool that we wind up at least getting a new photo of these two together.
Still think Mark Wahlberg as Sully is a really, really weird choice. I'm
really?
not a fan of it. Yeah.
No, I kind of dig it. I think like his personality, like when I think of older Sully from the video game and stuff, I can kind of see him in his younger days kind of being that. Is he from Boston or he's from Philly, right? I think he's from Philly.
No, I think it's Boston, right?
I can't remember, but I feel like just that personality from older Sully probably matches up really great with what Mark Wahlberg can bring to the screen. But maybe that's just me. We'll see what happens when we actually see it. But I love Tom Holland as an actor. I think he's great. And I want to see what the chemistry is like between these two.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing Tom Holland as a younger Nathan Drake. I think he's going to pull that off really good.
Yeah, I know some people are kind of worried about the idea of a young Nathan Drake. A lot of people were hoping for an older, when it comes to like Nathan Fillion. I know people were really a lot of fan casting for him out there for sure. But
Watch the fan film then, because it's really good. It'll give you exactly what you want. It has Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake, and I always forget that actor's name, but the dude from Avatar, and he was also in Into the Badlands. But yeah, he's as Sully, and literally he's like the perfect guy to play Sully.
Okay, nice. All right. Other than that, guys, I think that's going to be it for the honorable mentions. Let me see if we have anybody else in the live chat, though. What's up, Mom? Coming through. Giving some shout outs to Indy for certainly feeling better. I think we got Indy in the house, too, checking in. He says, thank you. I'm trying. So glad to be part of them team that can course correct for any issue. Yeah, we certainly do our best, Indy, but we definitely have you in our prayers, man. I hope you get to feeling better, bro, and get back here as soon as you can so we can enjoy some great topics with you, bro. And other than that, Dino Real Soul says, I don't know why, but Mark Wahlberg looks less of a douche when he's in the movie. His personality is so different in real life when he's working out, but he's in public. He's damn cool. I do like Mark Wahlberg, but yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to this movie. I'm looking forward to it regardless. But guys, we're about to get into some main topics today. Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and tackle some topics with me, man?
Always.
You know, this week, guys, just a heads up, when it comes to Marvel, they released themselves yet another movie trailer, guys. I feel like 2021 is turning out to be the year of Marvel, where I feel like 2019, maybe 2020 was the year of DC. Marvel is certainly taking off the handcuffs and giving us a ton of content for us to sink our teeth into. I mean, my goodness, in like a week and a half at the most, we've got the upcoming Loki series that's going to be hitting us. We got several different movies that are going to be coming our way soon, right, Stuart? We've got the Black Widow movie dropping in July. We got Shang-Chi, if I'm not mistaken, over the summertime or fall time. Well, coming in November, guys, of this year, The Eternals is officially dropping. You see that casting list that we've got? Richard Madden. You got I saw who else we got in there? I can't even see these damn names up here. Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie. I mean, Kumail Nanjiani's in here. I mean, my goodness, the list continues to go on and on and on. Kit Harington's up in here also. Great poster. I love this as a teaser poster itself. But not only did we get ourselves a teaser poster, Stuart, but we also got ourselves official teaser trailer as well this week. First off, I'm not quite sure if you've had the opportunity to check it out for yourself, but have you checked out the Eternals trailer?
Yes.
And yeah. What'd you think of it?
Absolutely amazing. Like the way it's filmed looks absolutely incredible. And, Kevin Feige was really hyping this film up, saying that he's so sure that this is going to win awards. And now kind of like seeing a little bit of what this has to offer. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm definitely not quite sure if that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Also kind of funny, in a meta standpoint, it all kind of comes full circle. The very last thing Robb Stark said to Jon Snow was, "Next time I see you, you'll be in all black." But of course, Robb dies before he ever got to see Jon Snow next time. So it's funny that they're both in this movie, and that specifically Kit Harington is playing the Black Knight. So it all comes full circle.
All comes full circle. Does that mean Game of Thrones is officially connected to the MCU? It's all connected still?
It is all connected, even more than we originally thought.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited for this movie. I thought the trailer looks great. Yeah, Chloe Zhao continues to get a ton of recognition. I mean, goodness, she literally just won Best Motion Picture for her movie Nomadland at the Oscars. I think she was nominated also for Best Screenplay, Best Directing also. So Chloe Zhao is taking the world by storm, to certainly say the least. So Nomadland, if you guys haven't had the opportunity to check it out, it is currently over on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken. I had the opportunity to check it out, but you may not be too far off, Stuart, in the idea that this could be another Marvel movie that actually gets nominated for something. I mean, we had Black Panther that was nominated for Best Picture. This probably has a potential of being up there also, just based off of what Chloe Zhao is able to do. I mean, for the most part, it feels, just visually, it feels like something that Chloe Zhao has done. I mean, she really likes to use sort of real world environments instead of big sort of set pieces, filming out in the real world. And I think it's something that even Kevin Feige mentions, that they maybe don't take advantage of enough, considering and just seeing how beautiful just some of these shots and images were from this trailer. So I'm really eager to see what they do, and really just the concept here that we have the group of Eternals who have been around for since the beginning of civilization, really, and kind of allowing themselves to sort of get involved with helping early mankind kind of take their first steps and start evolving into something more, but then kind of taking a back seat and just watching them sort of evolve. And so now they find that their time is now to certainly go ahead and step up and make their presence known. And for me, I wonder what it was that allowed them to do it. Like, I wonder if they sat back and had to watch Thanos and the Avengers do all this work, and maybe the idea of seeing the Avengers actually win and overcome somebody as threatening as Thanos, I wonder if that's like a signal to them that Earth is ready for their arrival, or for them to finally make their presence known a little bit more, type of thing, you know? Because it seems as though, like, I didn't know what to expect from this trailer or this team. Like, a lot of these characters aren't characters that I'm super familiar with, but the idea that they seem like a fully fledged superhero team at this point, or at least putting themselves out there to save people, is really fascinating to me. I mean, we even got to see some of their special abilities showcased in here also, which looks great visually. But yeah, I loved everything that we've seen, and I really want to see how they fit into the grand scope of the MCU. So I'm hoping that there are moments in here that remind us of moments that we've seen so far in the movies and what they've been up to during those times, and maybe some of the decisions that have had to be made to maybe take that step back and not sort of get involved. So I am interested to see what changed that mindset for them. But I really enjoyed this trailer for what it was when it comes to a teaser trailer. Everybody looks great. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. I think, yeah, what you were saying about them kind of wanting to go on location for a lot of their scenes, I think that's one thing the Eternals definitely has like a huge advantage for, because with a lot of the other Marvel movies, you know, they're all shot like in studio, and it's a good way of making it so if you need, like, let's say Captain America to shoot some scenes for both a Captain America movie and an Avengers movie, it's an easy way to have them be able to go from one set to another. But with this, because it seems like, you know, despite it being in the MCU, that they're definitely going to try to not like fully separate it. Like, I'm sure it will eventually like kind of cross over with other MCU properties, but for this film by itself, they want it to seemingly be mostly standalone. I don't think that's something that they really got to worry about. So they're given like a lot more free range in terms of where they're allowed to film.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And if anything, I do wonder if they have used some locales in their previous MCU, like maybe a mixture of more locale and sets kind of combination. But this seems as though Chloe Zhao is really taking them sort of just out into the open world and doing a lot of filming. Some great features, some great people that we've seen in this trailer. Kit Harington, very briefly at the very end, who's going to turn out to be the Black Knight. We got Richard Madden in here, who's going to be playing Icarus. Seemingly has a very long-standing relationship with the actress Gemma Chen, who's going to be playing Cersei in here. So Cersei and Icarus, I think, are definitely going to be some of our main characters for sure. If anything, maybe a little bit of a love triangle sort of situation coming. It looks fascinating to me. It feels very much like the relationship between Cersei and Icarus is something that has lasted generations and lifetimes. And then you got to get the new, you know, the newest flavor of the month, Kit Harington, coming out of nowhere in the current 2000s and kind of messing up their relationship. Maybe Cersei falling in love with him. Who certainly knows? But I do love the idea of sort of a love triangle romance story being told as the backdrop to maybe like a superhero film, because they definitely are going to be using their powers and action involved in this movie for sure. But what do you think about just the brief relationship that we've seen between Cersei and Icarus in this trailer, though?
I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on that because it's very brief. But
Very
yeah,
brief,
I do agree. It's just going to be kind of like probably one of those things where, because they've known each other for an eternity, you know, eventually things just feel too sameish, and I think that's why she ends up falling for Kit Harington, because, you know, not only is he really good looking, but also it's a whole new a whole new world for her. It's like actually something new, I guess.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We got Angelina Jolie in here as Thena, Kamal Nanjiani as Kingo. The gentleman from Train to Busan is in here, Ma Dong Seok.
Mhm.
playing Gilgamesh. Salma Hayek is Ajax, which we see very prominent in here also. Leah McHugh plays Sprite, who we saw in here briefly too, and Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Fastos in here as well. Some really great cast. I think they did a marvelous job in here. Honestly, incredible talent. They got incredible talent behind the camera, and Chloe Zhao. I don't see how this movie doesn't do well at the box office. But listen, a risky movie, though. Another risky movie by MCU based off of the fact that nobody really knows, like the general public don't really know who the Eternals are. And this is going to be our first time being introduced to not only these characters, but really that more Jack Kirby style MCU storytelling, with the idea of maybe even the Celestials at some point being, popping up in here. Can you imagine a massive robotic foot just coming out of the sky, like that last shot that we see with the storm that's brewing and everybody's looking up? I wonder if that's an arrival of a Celestial on Earth or something like that. I really want to see how big and grandiose this movie truly gets.
I feel like it's got to be, because if a threat like Thanos to them is beneath them enough to where they don't want to get involved, it would have to be something like a Celestial for them to finally go, guys, I think we should probably help the humans now.
Yeah, possibly, man. Their ship looks pretty cool too, like a gigantic flattened triangle, or like a flattened arrow. I kind of dig it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, guys, but let us know your thoughts. I was really impressed with this Eternals trailer. Hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more. I'm sure we'll probably get maybe an official trailer, maybe even 2 more official trailers after this teaser before we get into November. But from your first impressions, guys, has it heightened your level of enthusiasm for the Eternals trailer? You're still not feeling it? I definitely want to go ahead and know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. But yes, Stuart, I do think this is another risky movie for them. Similar to Thor, even Guardians of the Galaxy. Anytime you get to exploring just new concepts and ideas into the MCU and trying to include it, you never know how the general public is going to handle that stuff,
Oh yeah. And with it's funny because with Guardians of the Galaxy, I think this movie even has a bigger advantage over that, because if you remember the very first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, I myself and I know a few other people really thought that was going to be the first Marvel movie that was going to suck. And we were all really shocked at how amazing it was. So with Eternals, though, I think it's got a much better trailer than the very first Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. So I think already just that alone is getting a lot more people hyped. And plus, by now, I feel like everyone just knows Marvel has had such a winning streak for so long that I don't think anyone's worried that this movie is going to flop at this point.
Yeah, I think and MCU has definitely earned its value of trust amongst its fans. So I think if Marvel's going to be putting out a movie, I think people are definitely going to be giving it a shot for sure. But guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts. Again, let us know your thoughts on the Eternals, not only the poster but also the teaser trailer in the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Stuart, with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic. We'll stick in the realm of Marvel for a little bit, but we're going to dive into the Sony side of things for you guys real quick, because when it comes to upcoming Sony movies that utilize a ton of Marvel characters, we have ourselves another movie that Sony's going to be creating and producing for us, and that in fact is going to be Kraven the Hunter. I feel like it's been a while since we've heard some news about Kraven the Hunter, but it certainly will be here before we know it. And this past week, guys, we finally got an official casting announcement for Kraven the Hunter, and it's none other than Aaron Taylor Johnson. What? Who? Why? Yes, let's get into it, guys. I definitely asked myself that same question when this was certainly announced, but let's go ahead and break it down. This actually comes to us from The Wrap, letting us know that, yes, Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's right. You've seen this charming face before. He has, in fact, been picked up to play Spider-Man's villain, Kraven the Hunter, in his own solo movie, according to The Wrap, guys. It says DC Chandor is directing the movie, and it is set for a January 2023 release date. It says Aaron Taylor Johnson has nabbed the lead role as Kraven the Hunter in Sony Marvel's film. It says the studio announced on Wednesday. The studio has locked in the actor for multiple pictures as the iconic Spider-Man villain. JC Chandor is directing Kraven the Hunter. The project is being billed as the next chapter of Sony universe of Marvel licensed characters. It says, for those of you who are not familiar with Kraven the Hunter, it says, born into a Russian aristocrat, I don't even know what that, I can't even pronounce that. Sergei Kravenov, aka Kraven the Hunter, is an obsessed big game hunter who was introduced as a Spider-Man villain in Amazing Spider-Man issue 15, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. As seen in the original comics, Kravenov began his career using the typical tools of the hunter, but over time he developed a preference to take down large animals with his bare hands. After meeting a voodoo witch doctor named Calypso, Kravenov took a herbal potion which enhanced his physical powers, give him the strength, speed, and senses to match a jungle cat. The potion also extended his life, keeping his health and vitality for years to come. And so, yeah, Kraven the Hunter has been a very established Spider-Man character, also a member of the Sinister Six as well, on and off throughout the years. But Aaron Taylor Johnson has in fact been cast to go ahead and play this role. And Stuart, if I can be honest with you, I did not see this coming. As he would say as Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, I did not see this coming at all. I will be honest, okay? I feel like for me at least, I don't know Aaron Taylor Johnson that well to be fully on board with this casting. Like for me, while I've seen him in Kick-Ass, I really enjoyed Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass continues to be a movie I can put on at any particular time. Loved what he did in that movie. But then I look at other movies that I've seen him in. What else has he popped up in? Godzilla with Elizabeth Olsen. Didn't mind him so much in that movie, didn't really care for him so much in that movie either. I didn't feel like he really impressed me that much when it came to the human aspect. But again, it was a Godzilla movie, so maybe not the best script, but I still just didn't felt like I saw a lot from Aaron Taylor Johnson to impress me. Same thing with Quicksilver. Like if I had to compare Quicksilvers, I always thought that the X-Men Quicksilver was better than what we wind up getting for Aaron Taylor Johnson's representation of Pietro. So, you know, maybe it also hurts the fact that he was only in one Avengers movie. I haven't really had the opportunity to see him further established as Pietro in the MCU. But from what I saw in Age of Ultron, lackluster to certainly say the least. Now, those are really the only movies that I've personally have seen Aaron Taylor Johnson in. I don't really recall seeing another movie that he really floored me in. I mean, maybe he has other films out there that he's been a part of that have been really impressive. I believe it's I believe he was in another movie, Bullet Train, with Brad Pitt, that I heard he got some great recognition for. But outside of that, I never really found him as a super impressive actor, if you will. But maybe that's just me and having to go back and actually watch some of his previous work. So when I see this announcement, while visually, when I look at Aaron Taylor Johnson, especially with the hair, he's even got the beard sort of going, the fact that they've been able to like just do seamless mock-ups of Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter. I mean, you guys get to see it even on the thumbnail of this video that we have, just how much he actually looks like a Kraven. I can see him visually, but performance-wise, I am a little bit worried. You guys know I'm a big fan of Tom Hardy, but I was not the biggest fan of Venom. So to kind of see how they utilized Tom Hardy, who was a phenomenal actor, as Eddie Brock kind of gives me worries already. And the fact that they've managed to take such a stellar actor like a Tom Hardy and water him down as an Eddie Brock doesn't really give me that much hope that Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to do any better. Will I give him the opportunity? Of course. I love Kraven the Hunter as a villain. I'm definitely going to go ahead and check out this movie. But if you were to tell me, hey, our main guy that we want as number one is Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven, I would have been like, are you guys sure about that? Who are your other options? You know, I'm kind of curious to know who else you guys maybe might have had in mind. But again, I think my opinion is just based off of the fact that I haven't seen him in enough, and the things that I have seen him in, I haven't been that impressed. So outside of maybe Kick-Ass. But Stuart, let me throw this over to you, man. What is your level of enthusiasm here for Aaron Taylor Johnson being cast as Spider-Man, as villain Kraven the Hunter? And did you see this coming at all?
No, I didn't see it coming, and he definitely was not my first choice or my second choice, maybe not even my third.
He might not even been in my top 5 choices.
Yeah, probably not. But with that said, I don't know. I think he could pull it off. I don't think Kraven the Hunter is the most challenging villain to pull off.
Good point.
So, I think, he's kind of I think it was a very safe choice for them, is probably the best way to put it,
Mm,
because he's a big enough actor, but he's not like super big to where they would have to worry about investing so much into him, into playing this character, that if it didn't work out, then suddenly, oh no, now we have to start all the way from scratch back to the drawing board. It's kind of like it's like that perfect kind of in between, I think, for Sony, and I think that's why they picked him. But that said, I had like several other people I was kind of like thinking in my head to play this character. I think the number one for me, and then I think for a lot of people, definitely Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I think was like kind of the
mm.
one a lot of people were really hoping for.
Wow.
Uh, but
Damn, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, it would have been that would have been so cool. But with that all being said, though, I'm still definitely willing to give him a shot and see how he does in the role, for sure. Because I definitely don't want to like jump to conclusions about him not being right for the role. Just as of now, I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I don't really see it as of yet. Clearly, we're both going to give him the opportunity to go ahead and prove us wrong in this movie. But I liked your point of that. It feels like a safe bet. I mean, I don't know how safe it is when you are giving this guy multiple, signing a contract for multiple films for him to pop up in. It feels very much like you are putting a lot of your chips in on this particular actor. But and maybe maybe this doesn't need to be an award-winning film. You know what I mean? Maybe it just needs to be a safe film to go ahead and certainly continue to push this Sony universe that they're continuing to create here. And maybe he is the right man for the job. But we'll definitely have to see. A quick shout out goes out to Marcus for certainly joining us this morning. Thank you very much, Marcus. He agrees in the previous topic here that Eternals looks great so far. So I definitely would agree with you there. Dino Real Soul says, but Aaron was more buff as Quicksilver than the other guy who came in a most recent Marvel series, talking about Evan Peters from X-Men. But unfortunately, the idea of you being more buff shouldn't just be the reason why you get the job for Kraven the Hunter. You know what I mean? If anything, Stuart, just going back to seeing what he did as Quicksilver and his accent that he had to portray. I just keep thinking, what an atrocious accent that he had. I didn't think it was didn't come across very natural for him at all. And now he's got to go ahead and do a Russian accent for Kraven the Hunter. I'm worried, man. I can't lie. I am a little bit concerned.
It feels like that was why he had so few lines in Age of Ultron, just because he couldn't sell the accent. So that's why it felt like the writers and directors were like, okay, we're gonna give him fewer lines then. So it's
Yeah,
gonna be it's gonna be kind of a challenge now with him having his own movie and having to keep that accent going the entire film.
yeah, the entire film. So we'll see what happens. Again, I think this for me was maybe just just an announcement that came a little bit under my expectations for it. I was really looking for somebody else, but if Sony feels that this is their man and Aaron Taylor Johnson, we'll definitely go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'll definitely go ahead and do some homework in regards to Aaron and see what other projects he certainly worked on, and see if maybe I just haven't given him the opportunity to truly shine in my mind. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, a little underwhelmed, a little bit underwhelmed right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to know your guys' thoughts. When you heard the idea that Kraven the Hunter has been cast as Aaron Taylor Johnson, have you seen anything that he's been in that really makes you think this is the man for the job? I definitely want to know your levels of enthusiasm for this movie. I mean, look, Stuart, they definitely are pushing full steam ahead, right? Not only do we have the Venom sequel that's going to be dropping, we also have ourselves Morbius that's coming along with Kraven the Hunter. I will give Sony I will give them a pat on the back for doing a great job so far of building up this Sony universe. Granted, we're still waiting for Morbius to be revealed to see how good it is. But I like the choices of villains that they've selected so far to highlight.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool that they're getting their own standalone movie, because obviously with Spider-Man kind of being with Marvel and Sony not being able to do kind of their own standalone Spider-Man movies, but they still have like all these characters that they want to introduce. This is actually a really smart way to do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Speaking of which, in regards to the idea of building up this Sony Pictures Spider-Man universe, the Sony president for motion pictures actually came out and teased the future of Spider-Man and their future plans. And he actually even gave us a little bit more insight, Stuart, in regards to why they went ahead and selected Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven in the first place. So let's try and see exactly what their mindset was kind of going into this. So this article actually comes to us from Variety, as they had the opportunity to talk to I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head, but it's let's say it is one of the Sony executives. It says, will Spider-Man ever connect with Sony's other Marvel movies? There actually is a plan, says the executive. It says when director David Leitch and Brad Pitt told Sony Pictures Motion Picture Group president Sanford Penich that they were keen to cast Aaron Taylor Johnson for the ensemble thriller Bullet Train, Panetich wasn't super aware of the British actor. He said it was I had to look him up kind of thing. I didn't have a lot of familiarity, and then we started watching these incredible dailies from Bullet Train, and you really see a full-on action star. He's charming and he's funny and he's holding his own against Brad Pitt. A lot of people can't do that. Is what he wound up saying. So they were really keen on bringing him in just based off of solely of some of the dailies that they saw from his previous work, and it certainly won him the opportunity. So you know, I guess if he's getting an opportunity to actually see what he's capable of doing in other movies, because he's right. There's it's never easy to have to go up against somebody like a Brad Pitt on screen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's actually really interesting. So I guess when Bullet Train comes out, it'll be kind of interesting knowing that this is the movie that got him the role as Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. I am wondering exactly when Bullet Train will in fact be released. But he does go on to talk a little bit more. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up here. Talking about the future plans, he says there actually is a plan. He says, I think now maybe it's getting a little bit more clear for people where we're headed. And I think when No Way Home comes out, even more will certainly be revealed. It says the implication is that whatever happens in No Way Home could allow for Holland to live in Sony Marvel's movie while also somehow being a part of the MCU. But beyond another appearance by Holland's Spidey in an as of yet unannounced Marvel Studios film, No Way Home is the last film in Marvel and Sony's current deal to share the character. So it's seemingly that they definitely have continued plans, that they actually have a plan set, which for me, if you ask me, Stuart, is actually rather refreshing, because it feels like a lot of studios these days just kind of maybe throw ideas against the wall and kind of hope things stick. But maybe this is Sony actually having learned from their team up here with Marvel about the idea of branching out and actually making a plan ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking at what they did with Venom and what they're doing with Morbius, it actually they're doing something that I kind of wish other studios would do, you know, from the start, you know, when they want to build up their own cinematic universe. But it feels like every studio wants to just, you know, start their cinematic universe off with Avengers, rather than doing what I think Sony did really well with Venom. Even though, you know, like, I don't think Venom is anyone's favorite like anti-hero movie or anything like that. I do like the fact that they don't try to, you know, let you know this is part of the bigger world like every other scene. It's very much like, it feels like very much a standalone movie, and that's what I think more people who are trying to open up their universe need to do. They need to like focus on making one good movie first, and then, you know, expanding as you know, more successful movies come out. And, you know, Morbius, even though we got that little teaser with the Vulture, I believe with Morbius is probably going to be the same way as well. It looks like, once again, with Morbius, it's going to be a very standalone movie that might have a little bit of a tie-in at the very end. But other than that, it looks like they're focused on making a good movie first and then cinematic universe later.
Yeah, and that mindset is definitely a breath of fresh air, especially when it comes to Sony. So I'm glad that they actually do have a plan going into all this. They also go on to say, he says, the great thing is we have this very excellent relationship with Kevin Feige. There's an incredible sandbox there to play with. We want those MCU movies to be absolutely huge, because that's great for us and our Marvel characters. And I think that's the same thing on their side. But we have a great relationship. There's lots of opportunity, I think, that are going to happen. One of those opportunities would seem to be finally making a movie about the Sinister Six, the cabal of Spider-Man villains, including Doc Ock and Kraven. Sony tried once before as a spinoff of 2014's Amazing Spider-Man 2. So making a Kraven movie mean the studio so does making a Kraven movie mean the studio is close to bringing this half dozen together for real? And he says, it's tough, but I think these projects are the kind of things we have to work on in the dark. They're not ready until they're ready. Kraven is a great example because we just didn't rush it. It could have made, we could have made that 3+ years ago. It's just now the script's awesome. JC was the right choice, and we found the movie star because it was just kismet, and watching this other movie and realizing that could be the perfect casting. So as for the Sinister Six, he pauses and he said, it would be very cool, wouldn't it? Guys, so Sony's coming up. So look, don't tease us like that. Sony's going to give us a damn Sinister Six movie at some particular point in time. If it doesn't happen in No Way Home, with all the craziness ensuing that we have with all these villains coming back, if it's not going to happen in the MCU, it eventually will happen in Sony. And I think the idea of them establishing characters like a Venom, like a Morbius, like a Kraven on their side, I think it's just adding to the great lore of villains that Spider-Man has already established in the MCU here with the Vulture, Mysterio, and then clearly going to be bringing in a couple of other characters as well. I mean, we even saw the Vulture very early on. You said the Michael Keaton in the Morbius trailer also. So it's kind of all coming together. But Stuart, this does continue to feel like something we've been saying here for the longest time. Granted, it's still certainly could change, but this does continue to feel like Sony's prepping their universe so that when Tom Holland Spider-Man comes into their world, they're certainly all ready, right? Their contract with the MCU, unfortunately, does end with Spider-Man here in No Way Home, I believe. Maybe he's supposed to be in one more movie. I don't believe so. I think they said the contract only allows for No Way Home as of right now.
Oh, no, it's No Way Home and then in one other Marvel movie. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make that clear. Thank you for clarifying that. So I'm assuming at some particular point in time, something will happen to Spider-Man and thrust him into this Sony universe that's kind of been established in here. And I think the idea of seeing Michael Keaton as the Vulture in the Morbius trailer, I think is a way for us as viewers to remember that, Spider-Man, yes, he is in the MCU, but he is a Sony character. He does plan on going back to Sony Pictures at some point in time. So let's get you familiar with the idea that even though these characters showed up in the MCU, make no mistake, they certainly belong to us. So we can utilize those characters as well and put them in our movies where they certainly do belong also. So I'm expecting I'm assuming that's probably why Sony's building up these villains to go ahead and thrust Spider-Man into there when Tom Holland's certainly ready. But do you expect Marvel and Sony to maybe make yet another contract to where they can balance out this world for Tom Holland as Spider-Man and both of them utilize him whenever they need? What do you think is going to happen here?
Personally, that's kind of what I hope happens. But I don't know. It sounds like Sony has their plan already thought out, and the plan all really just kind of depends on how much they want to continue their relationship with Disney. Like if they want to keep that going forward and have it so Tom Holland can still cross over with other Marvel movies, but also they can kind of utilize them their selves and utilize them in their own standalone Spider-Man movies. I think it could work, and it really all just kind of depends on if both studios are willing to kind of cooperate when it comes to making one coherent universe as opposed to two separate universes where the same guy just pops between one and the other.
I would really like that. I mean, even if he were just to pop up as brief cameos in future MCU films, because it feels like to me, Stuart, just the direction that the MCU is going in, while I'm sure they definitely will be depending on some established characters that they've already put in place, it does feel like they are creating a brand brand new team of Avengers, or a brand new team of young Avengers, if you will, to kind of give the shine on, at least for maybe this upcoming phase 4 a little bit. So maybe they don't necessarily need to rely so heavily on somebody like a Tom Holland Spider-Man. And maybe in the meantime, while they're creating all that and building that world, they can let Tom Holland play sort of in this Sony universe a little bit, and then maybe sprinkle in some cameos for him on the MCU side. I do hope that there is some sort of agreement that's put together after this contract expires, even if it is rather minuscule. I do like
Mhm.
what Marvel and Sony have done together so far.
Yeah, what they're doing now is something I think they should have done from the start. And they might have had Kevin Feige been like fully in charge from the start. You know, the idea of with Sony and Marvel, and then same with you know, back when X-Men was owned by Fox. You know, Fox and Marvel. The idea of what they could have done from the start is, hey, you know, can we borrow let's say Wolverine for our Captain America movie, and then in return you can borrow any one of our characters for one of your upcoming X-Men movies. You know, I think that if Sony wants to have that kind of relationship with Marvel, it would benefit both of them immensely.
I agree.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I feel like, you know, there are plenty of other Spider-Man characters that other Marvel directors would love to use. And then same with Sony wanting to use a lot of Marvel characters. I remember Ryan Coogler specifically when he was directing Black Panther, he was saying he really wanted to have Kraven the Hunter make a cameo. And unfortunately, that was something that was off limits for him. So I could see like that. I could see like other, you know, MCU directors totally wanting to do the same thing. And then, you know, same vice versa with Sony directors.
You know, two things I would really love to see, now that you mention it, like I would always love to see Norman Osborn at some point in time in the MCU. Like if they're not going to use him per se as the Green Goblin and Sony as of right now, because they utilized him already in the Sam Raimi one, if they want to hold off on Green Goblin, like can we borrow Norman Osborn for a little bit? Like can we both maybe utilize him as a character in both of our universes? I would even take you know, one of the things that we've talked about was maybe the idea, can we switch Spider-Man for a while, Sony, right? Like, can we now hand over to you, say, Tom Holland Spider-Man as Peter Parker, and can we get back Miles Morales, perhaps, right? Can we continue to further develop him over in our world as well? You know, trade off a little bit. I think that would be pretty fun if that's something that they decided to eventually settle on.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll see. This is all just speculation on our part, but it's at least really refreshing to know that Sony does have a plan, even though, you know, that first trailer for the Venom 2 didn't really impress me that much. I'm really hoping that when we get to the other trailers, I'll be hyped for that film. But it feels as though the fact that they have a plan, that they're putting together some great talent, we'll see. We'll see what they have in store for us. But at least I'm glad that they're not going into this blind. Quick shout out also to Nathan Moore for certainly joining us here today. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. But yeah, any last thoughts in regards to this, Stuart, before we move on to our next topic?
Just yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they actually do with it, and I think it's all really my hype level for it is all really going to depend on how they end No Way Home. If they end it with like going super multiversal, or if it ends up just kind of being like, okay, so it is all just connected into the same universe. You know, because I could totally see them going either way. So I'm really excited to see which way they choose to go.
Yeah, it definitely feels like No Way Home is going to be a really pivotal film for the Spider-Man universe in general. So we'll see what happens after that movie. But even the article mentions the idea of just how important that movie is based off of everybody coming back, the multiverse aspect of it. So I do think this is really going to sort of set the direction for where everything really leads going forward. But we want to know your guys' thoughts. You hear this Aaron Taylor Johnson cast as Kraven. We get to see the idea that his upcoming movie Bullet Train is really what kind of brought the recognition to his acting chops to help him get picked in here. So let us know your thoughts on Aaron Taylor Johnson being cast, along with the idea of the Sony executive mentioning there is actual future plans for Spider-Man certainly going forward. How would you like to see Sony utilize that character? Definitely go ahead and let us know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right. AJ does bring up an idea. He says Aaron Taylor Johnson won a Golden Globe for playing a villain, and as the first supporting actor to get a Golden Globe in a thriller. I wonder what movie that was for. Maybe I have to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Oh, and I didn't know this. I swear I watched the movie. I don't remember him in it, but he was in Tenet, apparently.
Tenet?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not the only one who doesn't remember him in that
Yeah,
movie.
I
Yeah.
don't remember him in that movie. Did he have a brief like little cameo or something? I don't remember him in there.
I have no idea. That's
I don't
really
know.
funny.
All right, guys. Well, while you look that up, Stuart, see if he what any awards that he might have won. While you do that, we will be moving on to our next topic here. Oh, I brought your picture up. There we go. We will be getting into our next topic here. Going to check a little bit of a transition from the DC and Marvel talk for you guys today, as it seems as though Amazon is in the news yet again, as Amazon Prime continues to bolster just their franchises, their intellectual properties that they continue to own. As we wind up getting ourselves a massive merger this week, as it's been reported to us from CNET.com that Amazon has bought the production studio MGM, ladies and gentlemen. MGM has a plethora of titles and franchises under their belts that now officially belongs to Amazon, Stuart. Let's go ahead and do this. I mean, as long as if Amazon wasn't rich enough as it was, they probably have enough money, honestly, to purchase Disney and other big companies if they certainly wanted to. They're so freaking rich over there. But they continue to bolster their resume here. Amazon buys MGM, setting up Prime Video for James Bond, Rocky to move in, guys. So it says Amazon scored an iconic studio from Hollywood's golden age with its $8.45 billion deal. But streaming all those MGM movies and shows on Prime Video, it might be complicated. But let's go ahead and get into the details here. So almost $8.5 billion deal on Wednesday to buy MGM. The studio is known for releasing movies in the James Bond and Rocky franchises. The deal sets a course to amp up Amazon Prime Video with new programming mined from MGM's long history and to bolster Amazon's existing original production arm. MGM's beloved film and TV franchises, Amazon said, are a gold mine it could dig into as it looks to creating new programming. So start thinking reboots, sequels, spin-offs, and more interpretation. It says the real financial value behind this deal is the treasure trove of IP and the deep catalog that we plan to reimagine and develop together with MGM's talented team. It says it's very exciting and provides us so many opportunities for high quality storytelling. It says this deal is the biggest for Amazon since its $13.7 billion acquisition of Whole Foods grocery store chain back in 2017. Beyond films, though, MGM operates a TV studio that makes shows such as A Handmaid's Tale on Hulu and Fargo on FX, both amazing shows. It says MGM also runs Epix, a cable TV network and app. MGM has been up for sale for months, and multiple outlets earlier reported progress in negotiations that eventually resulted in Amazon and MGM consummating a deal. So, it looks like they not only have another TV studio in MGM that can go ahead and produce movies, but they got a plethora of intellectual properties for them that they can now mine, such as James Bond and the Rocky franchise when it comes to Amazon Prime in the future. So impressive investment, if you ask me, Stuart. I think, I don't know how you are when it comes to James Bond or Rocky, but I would definitely love to get more of both of them. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll eventually have some sort of James Bond spin-off series. I'm pretty sure when it comes to James Bond, though, they probably do, even though that they own MGM, I believe the rights to James Bond, belongs to another family that holds the rights, so they have to get the okay for them to greenlight anything James Bond related. But it's Amazon. Amazon's going to take great care of their properties, and the fact that maybe they could even dabble something in some Rocky. Stuart, didn't we just talk about a couple of months ago the idea that Sylvester Stallone mentioned that he had a potential Rocky prequel in mind that he certainly perhaps might want to do. Maybe this is the golden ticket for Sylvester Stallone to go ahead and push that towards Amazon to see if maybe we can get ourselves a Rocky prequel series. I don't see the need for one, but hey, here's an opportunity that Amazon certainly has. So let me throw this to you though, Stuart. You hear this, Amazon buying MGM, a plethora of IP for them to sink their teeth into. What do you think this means from the streaming service and just Prime Video in general?
Well, without a doubt, we're definitely going to be getting a lot more, not only new Amazon original movies, but without a doubt, we're also probably going to be getting some television spinoffs from those movies as well. I really hope the Rocky prequel isn't one of them because I just don't see a need for a prequel to Rocky. I think that's when his story started. I don't really see how you can go like before that and make it interesting, but that's just me. Maybe Sylvester Stallone has a really amazing vision that I'm just not seeing there. But yeah, so I don't know about the Rocky thing, but with James Bond though, you have a potential to keep the movie franchise, going because I mean, obviously, I don't think that's ever going to end. And you could also, kind of start from scratch too by having a television series based on the same character. Have it like be unconnected to the movies, have it just kind of be, in its own new universe and be able to tell like kind of the same stories that we saw in some of the older James Bond movies, but now with like kind of more modern special effects and just more modern writing that isn't very problematic. Because you look at some of the older James Bond movies, it doesn't quite hold up too well in some aspects. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility for a ton of that stuff. I heard somebody even mention this when I was watching, because I have my favorite podcast that I certainly listen to and my other YouTubers that I follow. Somebody suggested the idea of maybe even tapping into some of the older James Bond books and novelizations that haven't been adapted into movies as of yet. Maybe you can create those into spinoffs and stuff. So I think you're definitely onto something there, Stuart, for sure. That's something I would certainly be open for. And for me, I think that would be great in being able to not only have, say, a separate maybe James Bond cast for the movies, but maybe now you can cast an additional James Bond to have in an actual series itself. I think you could probably actually pull that off and really work that out pretty well. So a ton of potential here, Stuart. I really love the sound of this, and Amazon continues to bolster its IP, making it one of the top 3, if not top 5 streaming services that are certainly out there. I am kind of curious as to what other intellectual properties MGM certainly does hold, because I want to see what other ideas they could probably come up with.
I think one of them, although it might be kind of useless now because I think all the books are public domain, so anyone can make an adaptation. But I think they produce Wizard of Oz?
Oh, maybe they did.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much value that would have other than you can sell the original movie or they can resell the original movie as a Blu-ray. Yeah. The one thing is they wouldn't be able to, I don't think, make or they could make their own spin-offs and everything, but it wouldn't be that unique to Amazon because now I think the books are all public domain. So now I think like literally anyone's allowed to.
I think they have, I believe they own Clash of the Titans. I feel like we had a Clash of the Titans movie, but people always love their sword and sandals stuff. So maybe we could get ourselves something coming out of that. I want to say they also have RoboCop, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think if they have RoboCop. I'm trying to look under it right now.
If they do have RoboCop, then that's something they should totally consider making a television series based in that universe.
I would totally do that. I wonder if they have Child's Play, maybe more Chucky stuff. I don't know, but yeah, it looks like there's a plethora of different IP that they can certainly tackle if they definitely wanted to. But I think this is a great win for Amazon, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It's definitely we're getting into times where studios are starting to thin though a lot because everyone's kind of like buying each other at this point. So even now you have the fact that even after the AT&T Warner Brothers merger, then there was immediately another merger just recently with Warner Brothers and Discovery.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Warner Bros. And Discovery have another massive one. Yeah, man. And I heard that there were rumors that maybe even Disney might be looking to purchase Warner Brothers now, which they had the opportunity to back in 2016. I wound up reading, and they
Yeah.
decided not to. Whether or not they would try and do that, or if even the government would allow them to even acquire something like that without it being like a monopoly. You know what I mean?
I think what they would have to do at that point when it comes to Warner Brothers, I think they'd have to buy assets. I don't think they could buy the
Mm,
entire thing. Like if
I
like for
get you.
DC, for example, they could probably buy certain superheroes. I don't think they'd be allowed to buy all of DC though.
All of DC. Yeah, you might be right on to something there. A couple quick comments here. Dino Real Soul says, "I thought MGM was a hotel in Vegas. It certainly is. But you know what, Stuart? That reminds me of you ever see The Hangover when the guy's like, "Is this the real Caesar's Palace? Did
Yes.
Caesar live here himself?" Like, no,
I
bro.
love the way he asks it too. Like, oh, I'm sure you guys get this question a lot. Is this
Is this where the real Caesar lived? No. This is
and
that's
then
what
just
that.
the cashier looking really confused, like, are you serious?
Are you serious? But yeah, so yeah, not just a hotel in Vegas, down a real soul. Don't worry there. And then Marcelino Vasquez, what's up, Marcelino? Says, could there be still be a James Bond movie where the lead role is female? So yeah, so while I don't necessarily think that there'll ever be a female James Bond, there certainly could be the possibility of a female 007, which I believe in the upcoming film there is actually a female 007. I believe James Bond is officially retired. I think they might actually bring him out of retirement, but once he retires, that 007 tag goes to somebody else, right? Because there's a 001, I'm sure there's a 006, a 0010, who knows, but it's pretty much your call sign. So anybody could be a 007 per se. So no, I don't think that there's going to be a female James Bond, but there certainly could be a female 007 at some particular point in time, like another agent that takes over that. What do you think, Stuart?
Like a Jane Bond.
A Jane Jane Bond, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think there's a huge possibility of that for sure.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the female 007. I think that'd be pretty badass. Again, I do think it might even be explored a little bit in this upcoming James Bond film, which is going to be Daniel Craig's very last one. So we'll see what happens there. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. Do you have Amazon Prime? How do you like your streaming service with them? And does this excite you, the idea of them acquiring some of these IPs like Rocky, James Bond, who knows, maybe even like a RoboCop or a Clash of the Titans? There's a ton of possibilities here for them now to make original content on their streaming service. So we definitely want to know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right. With that, we're going to start transitioning over to our DC talk for you guys today, Stuart. So this should be fun, man. We got a ton of great topics I think we're going to sink our teeth into. So if you guys loved, whether it be DC movies or television, sit back and strap in for some of the announcements we have for you guys from this week. First and foremost, Stuart, a couple of years ago, we wind up getting a small film, very independent film by the name of, Joker, that came in and crushed the box office, making over $1 billion on like a measly budget, to certainly say the least. Really blew the hinges off of people's imaginations, so much so that not only did the movie make $1 billion, but there are some people out there that certainly want to see more. You know what I mean? And it seems as though, again, we might want to take this with a grain of salt, though, but it seems as though a Joker 2 may be here before we know it, guys. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This actually comes to us from comicbook.com. I was going to go ahead and get the actual source where this news came from, which was, I believe it was the Hollywood Reporter. But let's go ahead and dive into this article here and talk just a little bit about it. Because according to comicbook.com, it says that for the Joker 2, Todd Phillips reportedly coming back to co-write the script for the upcoming sequel. It says Joker director Todd Phillips is reportedly back at work writing the script for Joker 2. Word of Phillips moving ahead with the Joker sequel actually came from a rather unexpected source, a new feature on Hollywood's top 100 attorneys in 2021. So this is how it kind of came about, guys. One of those power player lawyers is one Warren Dern of the law firm Sloan Offer Weber and Dern, whose clients include Zack Snyder, Amy Poehler, and obviously Todd Phillips. While touting the kind of deals that Dern has done recently, the Hollywood Reporter notes that Todd Phillips struck a deal to co-write the next Joker installment. A small mention that's going to ring a lot of bells in the DC movie fandom. Take it with a grain of salt, though. The trade has already the Hollywood Reporter has already been called out once for jumping the gun on announcing the Joker 2. So yes, take this with a grain of salt because I do recall when that certainly happened. But again, this was an odd article, Hollywood's top 100 attorneys, where they focus on popular attorneys in Hollywood and they discuss some of the things that they've done for their clients or what some of their clients are going to be involved in. I think even one of the stories that came out of this article too, Stuart, was the idea of Denai Guerrera from Black Panther potentially being in an original series for Disney Plus. This is the same article where that story certainly came from. Now we're also hearing that this attorney has mentioned that they have worked out a deal for Todd Phillips to co-write the next Joker installment. So I did find this rather interesting when it was first originally announced. We have to talk about it because it's $1 billion film, Stuart. DCEU, I mean, the idea of Joaquin Phoenix coming back, Todd Phillips potentially come back. Todd Phillips has never said no to this idea. He's always said while the movie was certainly meant to be a standalone movie, I think it's hard to turn a blind eye to $1 billion. If you make $1 billion, you'll want to do it again. And so I think he's always mentioned that he would be open to returning as long as though the script was good and it made sense for it to certainly return. And I think somebody who's as choosy and picky as Joaquin Phoenix when it comes to his projects would probably say the same thing. It seems as though he had a great time portraying this role. He did a marvelous job. I actually might want to go back this week and rewatch it again. But it makes sense for them to go ahead and do a Joker 2. Is it a film that I personally wanted? Not really. I'm perfectly okay with Joker being its own individual film. I'm pretty sure you could probably come up with some idea on where to take this character going forward. But understand, even though the fact that I don't see a need for a Joker sequel, give it to me though. Okay. If you're gonna make another one, I'll be more than happy to take it from you. All right. So I am really looking forward to seeing what he winds up coming up with. If this is in fact turns out to be true, we'll see if Todd Phillips this week comes out and maybe addresses this rumor that's certainly going around that he's been attached. But I loved what he did with the first one. And I'm hoping that there is another juicy story that's worth telling for this Joker character for us to certainly get on board with. But let me throw this over to you, Stuart. Do you think this is a great decision by the Warner Brothers to go ahead and tackle this? Do you think that this is possibly true? What are your thoughts in general?
If it isn't going to connect to anything, I don't really see the point of it, because to me, the first Joker movie felt like a really good standalone movie, and that's all it needed to be. But if they're going to keep this franchise going, I don't think it's the smartest idea to have a Joker series going on side by side with a Batman series going on, both of them, having their own movies, airing in theaters, especially because, if you're doing a Batman franchise, eventually they're going to want to bring in the Joker. So, it's going to be really, I don't know. Personally, I think it's a bad idea to have both a Joker franchise and a Batman franchise if they're not going to be connected. So what I'm hoping will happen from this news is I'm hoping this will eventually tie into the rumors that Joker is going to be connected to Robert Pattinson's Batman movie, and hopefully we'll eventually get to see the two of them clashing with each other. But as for now, even though I really enjoyed the first Joker movie, I actually thought it was really good. I don't know how I feel about a sequel as of now.
Do you think the sequel itself has to have Batman in it? Or do you think it could still go along without necessarily having those connections? Like for me, I kind of like the idea of Joker kind of being separate, if you will, from Batman. I like the idea of him being in his own sort of world. I know some people said originally, like, for the first movie, if there's no Batman in it, this movie's not going to work. Well, they got proved wrong to a certain extent. I mean, we did get a young Bruce in there at least, so there certainly were some ties. But do you feel like for a sequel that it needs to have a Batman in it yet again for it to be successful? Or do you think they can certainly tell their own separate story?
I definitely don't think it needs to per se, but it's definitely going to be a lot more of a challenge without Batman.
Because for me, I look at this as, I mean, you might be right, right? I mean, the idea that we've got Matt Reeves doing his own Batman in his own universe, in a sense, are we going to get another Joker sequel here with Joaquin Phoenix? And then, 3 years from now, we're going to get an announcement. So and so's been cast as the new Joker in
Mhm.
the Matt Reeves movie, right? Like, is that kind of overdoing it when we've had Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix? I mean, granted, I feel like that's almost the norm these days, just based off of how many people we've had play Batman and the Joker over the years already. But yeah, like for me, I don't necessarily need them connected. I probably don't necessarily want them connected, but I get the reason of maybe why some people would want to see that happen at some particular point in time.
Yeah, and for me, again, I only want to see it happening if they're going to continue the Joker franchise because I don't really see the need of a franchise for the Joker if it's not going to connect to anything else. But I feel like the Joker worked really well because it was just a one off
One-off
film
type of thing.
that told like the story it wanted. If they wanted to continue like standalone movies not connected to the DC universe with like other villains as well, I'd totally be okay with that. I just don't see the need for each of them getting like their own sequel because I feel like there are a lot of other great DC villains out there that can have an amazing standalone movie that they don't need other superheroes in. But again, if you're not going to connect it to the bigger DCU, then there's not really, to my opinion, anyways, there's not really a need then to uh yeah, there's not really a need to make more than one. It's just I'd say leave it as a one-off and you're good.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, maybe look at it like a Elseworlds comic book or special, right? Like the one issue that tells a significant story of a version of a character in another world type of thing.
Mhm.
I kind of definitely get those vibes when I watch something like a Joker. But who knows? I mean, if we get a sequel, I would be perfectly okay with the idea of two. I mean, could this lead to a Joker trilogy? Who certainly knows? I really hope not. But again, I haven't seen the second movie. It may floor me just as much as the first one. But like Nathan Moore says in here, the film made a lot of money. No
Oh yeah.
studio just walks away from more money. Absolutely not, right? I don't think this doesn't come as a surprise. You know what I mean, Stuart? Like the idea that they decided to go ahead and tackle this movie doesn't surprise me. Like we mentioned, you don't really walk away from $1 billion, especially when you were able to make this off of such a low budget, right? If you can strike oil again, go for it, man. If you get that opportunity. So I see why they're certainly doing it. From a storyline standpoint, I don't feel that they certainly needed to, but it makes absolute sense as to why they're doing this, right?
Yeah, and that's why they should totally keep the Black Label thing going on. They should totally
Mhm.
have a lot more villain movies with a low budget because then even if they don't make the $1 billion that the Joker did, it's still going to make a huge profit. Like let's say the next one makes $800 million, but you only gave the movie like a $60 million budget. You are good.
Yeah, you're very good in that sense. So we'll see what happens. Let me see. Dino Real Soul says I completely forgot Joker is now played by Joaquin Phoenix, no longer by Jared Leto, except in the Suicide Squad. Haven't seen Joker yet. If you haven't seen Joker yet,
Mhm.
do yourselves a favor. Dino Real Soul, check it out for sure. It is on HBO Max if you happen to have it, so it is available. And Jared Leto has popped back up again in the extended Snyder cut in the brand new scenes as the Joker, which I actually really enjoyed him in, to be honest with you. I liked him. I like this rendition of him a lot better than I did with the Suicide Squad version for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
All right, guys. Marcelino Vasquez also says he doesn't want a sequel to the Joker. I mean, I definitely don't blame you. I thought they did a marvelous job with just the one-off. But if they have a great idea, I'm not going to stop Todd Phillips from certainly creating another one. If they can create just as good of a movie, I'm definitely open to it. And so, yeah, just definitely understand. Just because we
Mhm.
are hesitant on the idea doesn't mean that we're not going to go watch it or see it at all. Because I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't doubt it if a year or two, whenever this movie comes out, a year or two from now, we're reporting on it or we're doing our review, and I'm probably going to be all like, "Oh yeah, I never doubted this movie. I knew it was going to be great."
I mean, I mean, here's my thing. It's like the movie probably is going to be great for all I know. I just think the idea of not wanting one doesn't mean that we don't think that there's more to be told. I just feel like
Mhm.
it was a perfect movie in its own little bubble. You know what I mean? I thought they did a fantastic job. I didn't think that they certainly needed to move on with it even further. But again, maybe they've got something up their sleeve that's is just so juicy they can't really turn down. But maybe another $1 billion is headed their way, Stuart. People will go out to the movies for a Joker sequel regardless. But we want to know your guys' thoughts. You hear this again, grain of salt, that Todd Phillips could potentially be co-writing the upcoming Joker sequel. Are you looking forward to potentially seeing Joaquin Phoenix back? Do you want to see them tackle a sequel? Go ahead and certainly let me know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart. And with that out of the way, we are going to start transitioning over to some DC television news for you guys today as the landscape for the Arrowverse, Berlantiverse, CW verse, wherever you want to call it, continues to change, guys. One of the series that we certainly have to look forward to that's going to be dropping an additional season next year will in fact be The Flash season 8, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be here before you know it. I think this season almost wraps up, doesn't it, Stuart? Is this season close to wrapping up? Do you know?
It's about 7 more episodes, I believe. I think it's
Oh, okay.
yeah, they just finished episode 11 and I believe they're going up to episode 18.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they'll be there before we know it, guys. But when it comes to the Flash season 8, even though it is significantly a little bit of ways away, why does it keep doing that, Stuart? I'm gonna have to. You know what? Let me do this.
Obviously, StreamYard just loves me
He
more.
just loves your face. He just loves your face, man. But when it comes to Flash season 8, we definitely have something to certainly look forward to, as they have in fact revealed this past week that when it comes to the Flash, we're going to be kicking off season 8 with a 5 episode crossover event. That's right, guys. If you thought that CW was done with their crossovers, you would be mistaken. Let's go ahead and dive into this as we talk some DC television with you guys today. This is from Deadline. Again, it says the Flash 5 episode season 8 launch event will have a crossover type feel, is what the CW boss says. It says this fall, the CW is bringing together for the first time on the same night its signature most streamed series, The Flash and Riverdale. Both series will start their new seasons with special 5 episode events, which will kick off in November, about a month after the CW starts rolling out its fall lineup in October. It says during the press call about the fall 2021 schedule on Tuesday, the CW chairman noted that the eventizing applies specifically to The Flash, whose first 5 episodes next season will feature different heroes from the CW verse. The idea for The Flash is Eric Wallace and Greg Berlanti have come together and are talking about other superheroes from the CW verse who will come together in each individual episode. It will not be quite a crossover, but will have a crossover type feel and the introduction of all of these characters. So yeah, big things are certainly happening here, Stuart, when it comes to the upcoming shows. It says warming up the night for The Flash and Riverdale will be the final season of Supergirl and season 2 of Stargirl, which will premiere in August and will run on Tuesdays through October, leading to The Flash and the Riverdale's return. So, yeah, big things are certainly coming. You know what? If I got to be honest with you, Stuart, though, when I read this article here, man, the first thing that comes to mind is The Flash season 8 going to be the last season? And the reason why I say that is it just feels like a family reunion sort of things, like the idea of like, this is going to be our last season. We want to bring in some familiar faces from the CW verse, right? That maybe the Flash has gotten the opportunity to cross over with before, maybe some familiar faces, maybe some new faces to kind of give that rub, if you will, before his final season. So maybe this feels like a homecoming type of event where we finally get the Flash to say, the one last time where he gets the opportunity to cross over with some of our CW stars before running off into the sunset type of thing. I don't know why, but those are the type of vibes that I get. And maybe I'm just so used to looking at the CW landscape right now and looking around. Arrow, where are you? That's gone, right? Black Lightning, are you coming back next season? That's gone. Supergirl, Bye. That's gone too, right? There is a feeling of some shows sort of rounding things up a little bit, right? Kind of saying their departures. Arrow didn't get past season 8. Does that mean The Flash will be the first season to certainly do so? Or are they planning on, is this planning on being a wrap up season that calls for a 5-episode arc where we get to see some returning CW characters? I don't know. That's just a vibe that I'm getting. Nobody has certainly said that season 8 will be the last, but with the mixed reactions that I feel like the past maybe season and a half of The Flash has gotten so far, even though I don't know what the ratings are like, I feel like maybe they continue to still hold pretty steady. I don't know. While I'm excited to see some of these crossovers, I feel like this is kind of a farewell tour in a sense for Grant Gustin. Tell me I'm wrong here, Stuart. What do you think about this particular news? And do you have in mind any characters you would like to see him have a crossover event with?
I definitely think you might be onto something. There are currently rumors that this is going to be the last season of The Flash. I'll say this though: this started though from a very unlegitimate source. Basically, the one of the YouTubers I watch, DC TV, he basically said this rumor came from the British equivalent of "We Got This Covered." So
okay.
Yeah,
not,
keep in
not
mind
this,
that
not this, not this story we're reporting though. But you mean this the idea of season 8 might be in the last?
Yeah, with season 8 being the last. No, not the story we're covering. Definitely not. But so that's where the rumor started. But with that being said, there has been a major decline these last 4 or 5 episodes in particular in quality, not just with the story, but also like now with how a lot of fans are reacting to it. Just because these last 4 or 5 episodes literally make absolutely no sense, no matter which way you look at it. And it comes off as some of the worst writing that the show has ever had. Man. And that's like including seasons like 3, 4, and 5, which had some really bad moments. But yeah, these last 4 or 5 episodes have been it's bizarre to me because I really enjoyed season 6. When Eric Wallace originally took over as showrunner for The Flash, I thought he was doing a really good job. So it's really bizarre to see this huge, kind of decline now in quality when it comes to the writing aspect of The Flash. So part of me just kind of thinks that either season 8 is going to be the last season because of that, or maybe this 5-episode crossover is kind of a reaction, kind of an apology towards the fans that are still sticking with the Flash, even despite this last story arc. I think the one good thing about it though, this last story arc is that it just ended. And since they're doing the thing where they have kind of 2 storylines each season, so every season is basically 2 seasons now, at least now we're done with this arc. And now we can move on to what everyone's assuming is going to be the Godspeed arc. So everyone's hoping that this is going to be a huge turnaround in the writing. So, I think overall my hype for this and what we see in season 8 is really going to depend on how this next arc for the Flash is written. Because if it's the same writing that we've gotten from the previous, arc in the Flash, then I'm honestly not really too excited for this crossover event. But characters I really want to see though, if this ends up panning out and it does have some really cool crossovers, I think obviously the first one is definitely Stargirl, because it would be cool because Flash is the one character that, if any character in the DC Arrowverse would be able to figure out that the multiverse still exists, Flash would definitely be that character to do so. So I think him crossing over with Stargirl would be a great idea. And then of course I really would love to see as kind of one last, big farewell to both of them. I would really love to see Supergirl and Black Lightning both make an appearance on the show.
Yeah, those are going to be my 2 choices too. Would be Supergirl and Black Lightning. Also, I think that would be great. Cress Williams just recently came out in an interview and talked about the idea that Eric Wallace has reached out to him maybe 1 or 2 times already before to possibly bring him in for this potential crossover, or at least for a crossover at some particular point in time. So I think if anything, they're probably still working behind the scenes to even try and make that deal happen, with this being Black Lightning's final season since it's officially wrapped and stuff. So if there is anybody I would love to see return, you're absolutely right. Give me Black Lightning for sure. Because while we didn't get to see him and Barry have too much screen time recently. You know, what they were able to accomplish together in Crisis, I really enjoyed their time together. Like there was, I think Salima Kill, the showrunner for Black Lightning, mentioned that they had plans on bringing in Black Lightning for the Flash, or maybe it was Eric Wallace that talked about it. But that they wanted to highlight the idea that Barry grew up in a Black family, you know, and kind of learning more about him and some of the things that maybe he could relate to when it comes to Black Lightning. Like I think they said one of the scenes was that they were going to have Jefferson and Lynn over for dinner, I believe, with Iris and Barry was going to go and turn on like some R&B or like some classical soul music sort of thing. And, you know, Jefferson's going to be like, are you playing this to try to impress us sort of thing, you know, like try and fit in. But it's like, you know, Barry grew up in that type of environment. You know, he was raised by a Black family sort of thing. So I think it would just be really fun to see what those two characters, and just some great humor from Grant Gustin as Barry Allen anyway. So that's always something I've wanted to see. So yeah, I agree with you. Black Lightning would be great. I would even go ahead and take Supergirl. Also, I love your Stargirl idea. You know, give me even somebody from Legends. Give me give me Sarah Lance to come back. I would definitely love to see maybe White Canary, just to have that connection to, you know, somebody in the past that's been a part of the Arrowverse for so many years. Also, you know, which she came in like season 2 of Arrow. Like Homegirl's been around probably the longest than anybody else as of right now. So I just think that would be a really great crossover event for Barry, also to have Katie Lotz back as Sarah Lance. But I don't even know who I would have as my fifth one. Maybe Batwoman. Maybe they rounded off with Batwoman too.
Yeah, that could definitely work really well, especially because she hasn't currently the recent Batwoman like hasn't even met any of the other characters in the Arrowverse. So that'd be kind of a cool way to bring her in.
Does she meet Diggle this season? Because
Oh
David
yeah,
Ramsey she
Yeah.
will, right? Okay.
Yeah, Diggle will appear on Batwoman at some point, but as of now, she's still currently, she doesn't know she has like no connective tissue to the Arrowverse at all. Because like even all the side characters in Batwoman, none of them have actually met any of the other Arrowverse characters either. Supergirl has met an alternate version of Luke Fox, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to like kind of one thing I would love to see if they were to bring in Black Lightning into the Flash is because, you know, his show is a lot more grounded, I want to say. So if seeing him in Central City, I would love to see like his reaction to some of the villains that the Flash ends up having to deal with on a daily basis. I think that could actually be just like incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah, I would love to see Jefferson as Black Lightning take down one of the Flash's villains, or at least help assist them in it. I think that would be pretty cool. Also, just to, you know, taking a step up there, Black Lightning, and some of your rogues gallery. You know what I mean? Or even hell, maybe even seeing just seeing the reaction that maybe Barry might have to somebody like a Tobias, you know what I mean? Or just seeing how Freeland was certainly handled and things like that. I think it would be some really great crossover possibilities here. But again, it does warrant the idea of is this the rounding off of the Flash in a potential final season? And as we continue to sadly say farewell to a lot of our original Arrowverse shows, you know, I read an article last week, Stuart, that was saying somebody was pushing the idea of, you know, the CW verse having to kind of just shut down and just like, you know, these shows don't need to be made anymore is what they've been saying, because of the fact that, you know, they've seen the quality in television rise with Stargirl, how they're doing Superman and Lois, you know what I mean? They've got the big HBO Max series that are coming with like Green Lantern and Doom Patrol, right? Like these really big budget sort of television series, if you will. And with the declining ratings for the Arrowverse stuff, you know, this article was mentioning, you know, they really should just stop these Arrowverse shows as they go forward. But I gotta say, man, this feels maybe not as much as what happened with Marvel when Kevin Feige became in charge of everything Marvel related. And, you know, Marvel started cutting off some of their shows like The Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, right? We had Ghost Rider that was set to come. Hellstrom got canceled sort of thing because they wanted to focus on the big budget Disney Plus streaming service stuff. But I got to tell you, Stuart, for me at least, even though, yes, maybe the Arrowverse has certainly run its course, I feel like there's still potential out there for some reason. Like I trust me, I love what they're doing with HBO Max and these big budget television series, but I do still think that there is something to be told for the lower budget superhero television shows. Like I like being able to see what these, I don't want to say low level creators because they're great creators in their own right, but sometimes I enjoy seeing what a lower budget television show can certainly do, because maybe there are some characters out there that warrant their own television show, but maybe don't necessarily warrant a ton of production or a big budget for a movie or whatever the case may be. So I think that there's just a plethora of characters that can be mined, that can still be turned into something that's showcased on nationally broadcasted television like a CW, that will still garner the attention of some of these, some of the general public and stuff. So I'm not fully ready to say farewell to the CW verse. Maybe some of the iterations of the characters that we've certainly seen, but I still feel like there's a place out there for lower budget superhero television shows that have plenty of stories that they can certainly tell. Do you think that there's certainly a place out there, or do you think that's just passed them by at this particular point in time?
Honestly, yeah, I do agree with you. Like, as much as some of the shows, I do think, like, for the Flash, for example, I think that show, if they ended at the eighth season, I think that's a good place to end it. And then what other shows are, oh yeah, and then Legends as well, of course. If they wanted to end those shows as well, I definitely think that now is a good time to do so. But I don't really want to see the Arrowverse completely gone, like, per se, or at least like the idea of DC shows with a, like you were saying, lower budget go away, because there are some characters that I feel like you don't really need to have a huge budget to tell their stories. Like, maybe, you don't want to have like the low budget that a lot of the CW shows currently have now, like maybe slightly higher than that.
Right.
But I feel like when you're trying to upscale everything, then you just make things look bigger than they need to be. And it feels so unnecessary when you can easily tell that story without having to add so much, when you're not forced to add so much to the production in each episode. I'd rather see something where the story is driven by its characters and by, its actual like growth and development, rather than a story that's completely carried by special effects. And so I think like the route that they took with Superman and Lois was kind of perfect for the CW, because it's definitely a much higher budget show than, most of the other ones that we're getting. But at the same time, every episode isn't about showing off how big the budget is. We get a good Superman fight once an episode, and that's really all we need. And then same with I like how with Stargirl, at least for its first season, that might change now that it's officially part of the CW. But I like how for its first season there wasn't even like a quota that all the other shows usually have to do. There was never like okay, we have to have one superhero fight scene in one episode, we have to have one motivational speech an episode, things like that seem to be, non-existent with Stargirl, and yet it still works really well. And, even with Stargirl, even though it doesn't have, I think, again, the budget is perfect for that show. It doesn't have like the big budget that you'll see in upcoming HBO Max shows, but it's definitely bigger than a lot of the other CW budgets. And because of that, it's as big as it needs to be to drive the story forward.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. Nathan Moore in here, he does say a couple things. He does say the CW does need to step it up. He says, writing matters above all. It doesn't necessarily need a big budget. They just have to actually try and make their content better, which I definitely agree. I think it is important in regards to who you pick up as your showrunners and things like that. But again, I just hope that it is a case of that we're, even though maybe that particular version of the Arrowverse is kind of dwindling away, I do hope that there is still room at least for them to continue this CW verse, whether it be connective tissue still. But I just think that there is plenty of story certainly to be told with some new characters that maybe haven't had that opportunity to shine, like a Yara Flor Wonder Girl series. I'm surprised that hasn't been picked up. You know what I mean? Painkiller, unfortunately, not getting picked up. We'll certainly talk about all that here in a little bit, but even though some of these shows are finishing off, I just hope it's not the last of the CW verse, because I do think that there is a place for these smaller budget television series, as long as the writing holds up with it.
And
Um,
that is what it all comes down to, because even though the effects on the Flash have been really weak recently, that's not why I'm
why the show
irritated
is,
with it.
yeah.
I'm irritated with it because of the writing. And then same with Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman. These last two Legends of Tomorrow episodes, there's just like literally characters are doing what they do for the episode, not because it makes sense for their characters. It's like they act however the writing for the episode needs them to act, right?
Mhm.
And it's that on top of the fact that the excuse for Legends that a lot of its fans are giving is that it doesn't take itself seriously, and that's totally fine. If you want to be a comedy, cool, but you got to be funny then if that's the route you're going with. And the biggest issue is that you're coming up with these absurd, ridiculous plots for Legends, and I'm not getting a single laugh out of it. And that's an
Mm.
issue if you're trying to be a funny show. And then with Batwoman, that was the one I was like really thinking I was going to enjoy this season. And it's just really too bad because it wants to be like Black Lightning in the sense of the social commentary that it gives, but whereas Black Lightning, although I'll say this, the most recent episode of Batwoman, from what I've heard, has finally fixed this issue. But with Black Lightning, they show a lot of the social commentary. So,
Mm.
and that's what makes it so impactful. Whereas Batwoman, it's constantly characters
Just
talking to
dialogue
the
about,
talking to the camera and talking about issues. There was actually one where it's like, I swear they just stole that from an episode of John Oliver, the way they like word for word just repeated an exact line that John Oliver once used on Batwoman. So it's like, if they want to make it a talk show, cool. Don't advertise it as a superhero show then. But I have heard, though, from Indy's review and then from a couple other reviews I've been watching, that the most recent episode of Batwoman has fixed that. So once the season fully drops on HBO Max, I'm going to give it a watch, and then that's when I'll have like a different opinion, maybe.
I think I'm gonna probably catch up on Batwoman once it drops on HBO Max. Captain RGD does have a couple comments. One question: will Superman and Lois stay on the CW? That is an interesting question. And then, does the CW need better showrunners? I mean, I personally think so. I mean, listen, we got Naomi coming with Ava DuVernay. I don't know if you can get any better than a showrunner than that. I love what Ava DuVernay is certainly doing. So I think she's going to bring some great stuff to Naomi. But yeah, I do think it has a lot to do with just the quality of showrunners that you have and maybe their understanding of the content that they're certainly trying to tell. But do you think Superman and Lois will stay on CW?
Personally, I hope so. Especially because if it's gonna go on to HBO Max immediately after it airs, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't air on the CW, because it's a network that a lot of people have access to. So it gives people who don't have HBO Max a way to watch it. And I do wish HBO Max would advertise, or maybe they will once the whole season drops. I'm really hoping the show gets more advertising, because I really want more people to know about the show, because I'll bring it up to people that aren't like the biggest superhero fans every now and then. And I'll be like, yeah, have you checked out this show, Superman and Lois? And, if they don't know what it is, and all that kind of mention, oh yeah, it's a show on the CW. The moment I say CW, they're like, no, I'll pass. And so on the one hand, yeah, I get that it has that going against it, but at the same time, it is still a network that a lot of people have access to. So, I think right now on the CW, it is probably a good spot for it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree too. And that's probably the same reaction my girlfriend had when I originally mentioned it. She definitely went into Superman and Lois with her own sort of mindset of what to expect, just because of the fact that it was a CW show. And a superhero show on national television, so but we were incredibly surprised and just floored when it actually wound up dropping. And she's actually a really big fan of the series as of right now. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. We know that the CW Arrowverse right now seems to be a mess at this moment, but when it comes to the Flash season 8 next year, maybe there's hope. Do you guys think that this means that the Flash season 8 will be its last season? Are you excited for the idea of season 8 kicking off with a 5-episode crossover type feel, certainly going forward? And do you have any particular characters you would certainly like to see make a return or appearance, crossing over with Barry Allen himself? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. If anything, Stuart, I will say this: the beginning of season 8 for the Flash is probably going to be pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I definitely will be tuning in for those first 5 episodes for sure.
Yeah, and I'm definitely excited to see which of the characters that we see coming into the Flash for sure.
Yeah, me too, guys. Me too. But guys, let us know your thoughts and your levels of enthusiasm for the upcoming season of The Flash. And with that, Stuart, we've got one more topic that we're going to go ahead and talk about before getting into your guys' live viewer questions. And this continues to go back to the DC television side of things. We just kind of mentioned it a little bit about the idea of Naomi, but we just recently got an announcement of some upcoming series that have officially been picked up and some series that have been officially thrown away for the upcoming 2021 to 22 schedule for the CW. So let's go ahead and highlight some of the shows that we can look forward to from the CW as they've officially picked up, looks like a couple here and there. So this one comes to us from Variety.com, letting us know that when it comes to, come on, is it going to load? There we go. Variety saying Naomi, along with All American spinoff, has been ordered at the CW, whereas the Powerpuff Girls pilot to get reworked off cycle. So let's go ahead and get into this article. It says the CW has given out a series order to the DC project Naomi and All American Homecoming, a spinoff of the high school football drama All American. It says, in addition, the network has decided to rework its pilot for Powerpuff Girls, a live action follow-up from the animated series. The show's four leads, Chloe Bennett, Dove Cameron, Yana Perrault, and Donald Faison, remain attached to the project, as does the remainder of the cast and creative team behind the show. The network will film a new pilot for the series off-cycle. The show generated significant interest from the time it was first reported as being in development and was seen as a strong contender for pickup going into the pilot season. The potential Nancy Drew spinoff remains in contention at the network. And it also says, and finally, the planned spinoff of Black Lightning that was set to focus on the character Painkiller has been passed over as well. So yeah, Naomi is definitely coming for a 2021 season or 22 season, along with the All-American Homecoming spin-off. So Powerpuff Girls not picked up, getting the opportunity to be reworked, and Painkiller, along with Nancy Drew, seemingly not picked up as well, Stuart. Let me go ahead and throw this over to you, man. What are your thoughts in regards to some of the series that have been picked up and some of the ones that have not? How are you feeling about it?
I am so curious what it is that Berlanti pitched to the CW when it comes to his Powerpuff Girls idea that made the CW go, oh yeah, this sounds like an amazing idea. And then when it turned out to not be amazing, they were like, you know what, let's try it one more time and see how it works out. Like I'm really curious how Greg is selling the show, that, you know, this gives the CW like a lot of hope that this is going to work.
Do you want me to answer that for you?
Yeah.
Here we go. This is from tvline.com. It says the CW boss referred to the Powerpuff pilot came back too campy. We'll go back to the drawing board. It says, as reported on Monday, it is being reworked for later consideration with all the cast and writers still attached. It said the chairman for CW said, sometimes things miss, and this was just a miss. We believe in the cast completely. We believe in Diablo and Heather, the writers, and we believe in the auspices of Greg Berlanti and Warner Brothers. In this case, the pilot didn't work, but because we see enough elements in there, we're going to give it another shot. We didn't want to move forward with what we had. It says, when asked by TV Line how exactly the first crack at the pilot came up short, this is what they said. Tonally, it might have felt a little too campy. It didn't feel as rooted in reality as it might have. But again, you learn things when you test things out. In that case, we felt like, let's take a step back and go back to the drawing board. This is a powerful property and has engaged a lot of interest, and we wanted to get it right before we put it out there. So not grounded enough, a little bit too campy. So I'm assuming he approached them with maybe something else, and it just didn't come across on screen really well.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, we'll wait and see how that turns out. I am really happy to know that Naomi is getting picked up and that they're currently moving forward with that series, cuz that one I feel like has a lot of potential. I'm really curious with it being like a show that's going to be, exploring the overall multiverse, and with of course the multiverse having been rewritten after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It makes me kind of wonder how much of that is going to play out in the show, if the show is going to, with it exploring the multiverse, if it's going to tie into either the Arrowverse, the DC movies, or just any of the other DC television shows that are currently on HBO Max. I think that could be really cool. But at the same time, I think that it also, with the premise alone, it has enough going for it that will work really well as just a standalone show if they choose not to tie it into anything at all. They just want it to take place in its own universe, separate from not only the Arrowverse but also other DC shows as well. I'm really excited to see how the writing is for this, and also I'm really curious now that the CW has seen that they can have success by giving more money to some of their shows, because they've seen that success with Superman, and they're seeing that success, of course, with Stargirl. I'm really curious to see like what the show is going to look like on a production standpoint.
Yeah, I think when it comes to somebody like Ava DuVernay, she's probably not like she's probably I don't want to say she's demanding, but I mean when it comes to somebody like Ava DuVernay, who's going to be the executive producer and the writer of this show type of thing, I think you give her whatever she wants. You know what I mean? If she definitely wants a higher budget for it, definitely go ahead and certainly do that. And I really hope that the CW certainly came through for her in regarding to giving her everything that she needs to make this this show successful. So I'm definitely in agreement with you, man. I think this is a great pickup for the CW. Anything Ava DuVernay touches, I think, is just a masterpiece. She's got a great way of telling her stories, which I would recommend you guys check out just some of her filmography and see some of her other work. But to kind of bring her style to a character like Naomi, I think it's going to be really fun to kind of see Ava DuVernay play into not only just the idea. I'm sure she'll probably bring up some concepts and idea of just Black culture and society and things like that, and maybe even mix that in with just the super powered elements of being a superhero and Naomi having these incredible abilities, and maybe even tapping into the idea of a multiverse or the planet or wherever the case that she certainly resides or comes from. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun for me to see what Ava DuVernay does in the superhero genre, especially based off of the fact that Ava was supposed to be working on a New Gods movie for Warner Brothers for their DCEU, but unfortunately that didn't get picked up. I think she was co-writing the New Gods movie. So the fact that we weren't getting her for a movie but a television series now, I'm still as eager to see what she's going to be doing in the superhero realm. So I love the sound of this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing when this show is certainly going to drop. But great pickup by them. I haven't really watched All American too much, but I hear great things about it. The Powerpuff Girls pilot, you guys know, listen, I was actually really anticipating this series. Just some of the stuff that we saw from the behind the scenes footage and things like that. We weren't quite sure what to make of the show, what the show was certainly going to be. It certainly was interesting. Some of the concepts and the ideas that they had mentioned in the synopsis was certainly fascinating. So a little bit of a bummer that it didn't actually pull it off the way that the CW wanted to. Now, whether or not this does make me worry as to whether or not they will get it right and still push this show forward, or if this show maybe will never get picked up. We'll definitely have to wait and see. But if there is any one of these shows that completely bums me out that we're not getting, is in fact Painkiller, Stuart. And well, what also makes me kind of baffled is the fact that you want to give Powerpuff Girls the opportunity to retool and rework its pilot that didn't come off that great, and you weren't quite sure how to handle it. Yet you don't want to give Painkiller another opportunity to redo a pilot or to rework itself into a more credible series for you guys. It's just immediately like, up, we're done. But we'll give these other girls a chance to go ahead and retool their series. I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect certainly is with the show. I just felt like there was a ton of potential in something like Painkiller that I thought Jordan Calloway really brought to the screen. I think Salima Kill and some of the storylines that he wanted to tackle with Khalil, and still really pushing forward the thread of, African American superheroes just in society, and the politics and the societal issues that kind of come up with it, the inner struggles that Khalil certainly has to deal with not only being a superhero, but also dealing with a painkiller inside of him, and that constant back and forth. All that stuff just sounds so incredibly fascinating to me that I would really love to see tackled. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to kind of get that opportunity here. So, I guess the CW picks and chooses who they want, which shows they want to be successful than the others. Because the fact that they're willing to give Powerpuff Girls a chance, but yet not something like Painkiller that already has sort of an established lore on your channel after all this time, and especially what Salim Akil has done for a show like Black Lightning, it's just a little bit of a bummer that Powerpuff Girls that gets that second opportunity, but executives tend to turn a blind eye to Painkiller. So I don't think it's anything surprising. Unfortunately, it just continues to show you the priorities I think that CW has in mind. And somebody even pointed out to me when I did my Painkiller. When we broke the news about Painkiller not being picked up last Monday, somebody said the idea is like, yeah, I immediately knew Black Lightning or Painkiller wasn't going to be picked up. Or no, he said, I knew immediately that Black Lightning was going to be canceled once Superman and Lois actually wind up dropping, because of the fact that we now have another family superhero genre, superhero television show to go ahead and focus on. And with Superman having that same theme or shaped the same way as Black Lightning, yeah, there's no need for Black Lightning anymore. It's probably how the executives kind of look at it, which is a little bit of a shame, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, I agree. Like, if that's actually like the main reason that Black Lightning got canceled, then that's actually major BS, because they're both family shows revolving around superheroes, but they're very different of family superheroes. Like, environments are very different. The struggles they go through are very different. And I mean, like, even like you look at Smallville compared to Freeland, they are very different in terms of like, kind of the struggles that they have to go through. Smallville's a town trying to keep itself, even floating. And then Freeland's, of course, got a lot to deal with when it comes to police brutality and things like that. Yeah, that would be a really bizarre reason if that was it. And then I mean, it
was definitely just a viewer's point of view, but I didn't even fathom that, the idea. Like, it didn't even hit me that, oh man, Superman and Lois is kind of like a family superhero drama, that I didn't even think about it. That kind of takes that place of Black Lightning a little bit, and being able to present that family drama with superheroes. But yeah, two significantly different shows. But I can see executives just being completely blind and oblivious to the idea of just two separate struggles that both of these shows have to deal with.
Oh yeah, that's really bizarre to me. The other thing, though, when it comes to Painkiller, and I think it comes to like just why I'm really surprised the show didn't get picked up, is because even when you're not looking at this like a Black Lightning spinoff show, if you're looking at this as a show by itself and trying to see how that would sell on its own, I still think the concept alone, if you give it the right marketing behind it, is something that could really be successful. I mean, the idea of a guy who has two personalities, one of them is very zen, the other one is very much, okay with killing, doing whatever it takes to get the job done. I think that would be so much fun to watch, honestly, especially because it seemed like the show was going to be a mostly martial arts heavy show. So like mixing that in with it, and then having like kind of a cool dynamic crew where you got one guy who's like a hacker, one guy who seems to know people, that kind of a thing. I feel like there was just a lot of potential there, and it's too bad that we're not going to see what could have been.
Yeah, and that's the key word, is potential. When I looked at the pilot for Painkiller, I didn't think the pilot was the strongest that I saw, but definitely a pilot that had a lot of potential. I mean, the return of an Agent Odell. Are you kidding me? I would love to see the return of Agent Odell, especially his daughter and things like that, and seeing what they have up their sleeve for somebody like a Khalil. One of the things that I loved was seeing the Painkiller and Khalil butting heads, and that struggle that he has to deal with mentally. Like, even the way that they shot it sometimes, of seeing seen Khalil talking to himself at his reflection in a mirror or off of a desk or off of a screen sort of thing. It kind of definitely gave me that Gollum and Smeagol sort of aspect, if you will. You know, I think there's something really fascinating that they could have explored a little bit more in there. But again, for a solid pilot, not a super impressive pilot, you can't tell me you can't rework that. But you want to rework the Powerpuff Girls series. Okay, bro, whatever you want to do, CW. It doesn't make any sense to me sometimes. But so I think there are potentials. I definitely do think there are potentials here. Looking very forward to Naomi regardless. I am glad that at least got picked up. So we'll see what happens. But let's go into the schedule here real quick, Stuart, because some of these shows, while we're definitely expecting them, we are going to be having a brand new schedule for the CW. Certainly going forward here. Hold on one moment, Stuart. Let me go ahead and try and pull this up. So let me go ahead and pull this up. This comes from ksite.tv. Let me go ahead and pull up this article. So if we want to get the scheduling right here for next season for some of these shows. The CW sets its 2021 through 22 schedule. It says the CW announced its 7-night primetime schedule. So they're moving to 7 nights a week. It says the CW kicks off the week with its own competitive game night with Legends of the Hidden Temple, followed by the new US version of Killer Camp on Sundays. So guys, Batwoman has finally been pulled from Sundays. I am kind of curious if this will mean anything for its viewership going forward, especially during the fall time when football season is kicked off. But I think this is a great competitive game night. I probably will be tuning in for Legends of the Hidden Temple. I can't lie. I probably will be watching that. So that's going to come on Sundays. On Monday, multi-platform hit series All American begins its 4th season on Mondays, followed by a new series, 4400. Is that didn't they have another show on there like 11 was it 1100 or what was it?
That was the 44,
tomorrow?
right?
Was that what that was? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, it says followed by a new series 4400. And then it says The Flash and Riverdale both return this fall with a special 5-episode events to begin their new seasons on Tuesday. So guys, The Flash and Riverdale are moving to Tuesdays. It also says Wednesdays are action-packed, back-to-back with Legends of the Hidden Temple, Legends of Tomorrow, followed by Batwoman. So from Sunday to Wednesday is where Batwoman gets moved. So again, The Flash moving to Tuesdays, and Wednesdays will have Legends of Tomorrow, followed by Batwoman. So they're getting the later time slot for that series. And then you got Jared Padalecki set to return for Walker, followed by The Magic of Legacies on Thursday. It says fan favorite Penn and Teller Fool Us remains on Friday, followed by the return of Nancy Drew. And then, of course, you've got Whose Line Is It Anyway and World's Funniest Animals on Saturday. Now, it says new series, All American Homecoming and Naomi to make mid-season debuts, along with a host of returning hits, including Kung Fu and Superman and Lois. So if I had to assume, Stuart, this probably means either late December or like maybe January or February here for the premiere of like Naomi making its mid-season debut, along with the returning Kung Fu and Superman and Lois. So it definitely feels like maybe Stargirl is now officially more like that spring summer release for the CW, because that hasn't been announced yet, but it does seem as though Naomi and Superman will be returning for at least the second half of the CW's schedule. So you see this schedule here so far, Stuart. Again, The Flash being set on Tuesdays, Legends and Batwoman on Wednesdays, and then of course Naomi and Superman and Lois being set for the next year. What do you think about this?
I think with Batwoman and Legends, that is a great show to have side by side, because one of them requires kind of like some thinking for the episode about like where they might be going, whereas the other one with Legends requires like no thinking at all. So one of the problems is like with having Flash and Superman and Lois back to back. I get this from a lot of YouTubers that I watch that review the shows, and they mentioned that one thing frustrating about it is that you still have the Flash on your mind as you're watching Superman and Lois, which means that every once in a while they'll miss something because they're still thinking about the Flash episode they just just watched. So I think when you're doing it though with the show like Batwoman and Legends, because they're so different, and because Legends is, you know, much more of a comedy show, so you're not meant to, like, you know, really think about the plot too much. I think that's actually a really good show to have alongside with Batwoman. So I hope that's the mentality they're keeping in mind when they schedule these shows. I hope they're thinking about the type of shows that they're putting up there, and also like kind of making sure they're also looking at what it's competing against. And it's also why it's a good thing that, because yeah, so Batwoman is taken off of Sundays, and I think that will majorly help the ratings for the show. I think anytime they put like a any Arrowverse show on Sunday, I think you're just kind of dooming the show. I think that's one of the reasons Supergirl's ratings really fell down, was because they moved it to Sunday.
Absolutely. Me and Indy have been saying that when it was first announced. Like, what are you doing, CW? Are you not aware that you're going and competing up against Sunday Night Football with these shows? Like, the idea of moving Supergirl and then Batwoman to Sundays, I'm like, do you want these shows to automatically fail when it comes to ratings? I mean, granted, for me, I feel like Supergirl has probably been the stronger of the two series, if you will. And I'm sure they probably still needed better show running or better writing, to say the least. But to have that struggle already, and then you want to put them up alongside a series like Sunday Night Football, are you kidding me? That's just a terrible decision. So the fact that they're taking it off of Sunday finally after two seasons, that's great. Will it change the quality? Maybe not, but it at least might give them the opportunity to have more eyes on your content when you're not competing against something opposite like Sunday Night Football. So I'm glad that they've decided to take some of these shows off of Sunday. I feel bad for Legends of the Hidden Temple and Killer Camp now, but I'm probably still going to watch Legends of the Hidden Temple anyway, because I absolutely loved it as a kid. Go Silver Snakes. Let's go, baby. But we'll see what happens, guys. I'm just glad that they wind up changing some of these dates. But you're right. I think the idea of Batwoman coming after Legends might work to a certain extent. I do wonder if that means that they are going to push maybe Batwoman for season 3 to maybe be a little bit darker, some darker elements to kind of come around that time at like 8 o'clock or so. It's 8 to 9 here in Central Time. I don't know. Was that the first show that came on before Supergirl on Sundays when it first dropped? What time did Batwoman come on Sundays? Do you remember? I thought it was 7, but maybe I'm wrong.
I thought it was after. Didn't Supergirl come first and then Batwoman?
You might be right.
I think it was.
You might be right. You might be right. So we'll see what happens. But I think the idea of any of these DC television shows being taken off Sunday is a big win. So we'll see how it does for the viewership, certainly going forward, and hopefully they pay closer attention to just their writing in regards to that to govern more eyes. So we'll see what happens. But guys, there's your schedule for the CW from 2021 to 2022. Again, Naomi and Superman and Lois set to return for their mid-season debuts, probably going into that 2022 season, guys. So definitely go ahead and keep track of that. Let's see a couple of comments here. Nathan says the CW knew they weren't going to give Painkiller a spinoff. I mean, who knows, man? They probably just did this as let's get some fans excited, hopeful type of thing, and then just pull the carpet from them. They did this to us when it came to Green Arrow and the Canaries. I almost feel like if they're not automatically going to just either a series pickup, or if it's not something that a pilot just airs on its own during that type of season, anytime that they tell us, hey, this upcoming season, episode 9 is going to be a pilot episode for so-and-so, I'm not even going to believe it. I'm not even going to believe that it's going to get picked up if it's inside of a season instead of its own pilot episode told on the outside. You know what I mean, Stuart? Because Superman and Lois didn't have to deal with that. It wasn't like Supergirl season 5, watch episode 9 for a potential spinoff for Superman and Lois. No, they just went into doing a pilot for it in the pilot season, and it wind up sort of just getting picked up as an entire series. So I'm not going to believe CW anymore anytime they tell me I could potentially get a spinoff series out of their shows, man.
I think the only time it worked, and it's weird too, because to me this is still like my least favorite of the crossovers when it comes to the Arrowverse, but the only time it really worked was when it came to the Legends of Tomorrow pilot, how it kind of started as like the 2-part crossover with Flash and Arrow, Legends of Today and Legends of Yesterday. And it's weird because, like, I don't even know if I'd call that like a backdoor pilot because it had the villain, but like none of the like very few of the characters of Legends of Tomorrow. So it is kind of weird that that was kind of the only pilot that kind of worked. And even then, it didn't really give you a whole idea of what the show that you were getting into was going to be like.
Good point. Good point. So we'll see what happens here, guys. But we definitely want to know your thoughts. You hear the release schedule for the CW. Are you glad for the movement of some of these shows? What definitely jumps out to you? Are you sad you have to wait a little bit longer for Naomi and Superman and Lois? I definitely want to go ahead and know your guys' thoughts. And you know what, Stuart? I picked up the very first issue of Wonder Girl this week from DC that highlights Yara Flora and the beginning of her adventures here. I really do hope that at some point in time that the CW revisits that concept for giving Wonder Girl her own series, because I do think we have a hit on our hands here, especially at least comic book form wise. We'll see how it goes when it transitions over to actual television though. All right, guys. Other than that, Dino Real Soul says no painkiller, but we're getting a Bebo Christmas special.
Yes, I legit, I couldn't believe that was real. Like AJ had like, yeah, texted me that on Facebook, and I'm kind of like, no. And then I looked it up, and it was a real thing, and I still am having a hard time believing that it's real. It technically might tie into Legends because we have the actor that played Martin Stein. He's going to be the narrator. So my theory is that it's going to be like before he dies in the show, it's going to be him reading to his daughter like a story of Bebo, and that's going to be what leads to the animation segment. It'll be like a live action segment of him reading, and then animation segment of the actual event.
Oh, okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it actually comes out, man. But yeah, priorities. You got to get your priorities straight, CW. You know what I mean? All right, guys. With that out of the way, we will be moving on to your guys' live viewer questions for the day. So, Stuart, you ready to go ahead and dive into some of these questions, sir?
Oh, yeah, always.
All right, let's start off. Let's see here. Jessica Friedman coming through as always. Would you like to see a Justice League JSA team up? And would you like to see a Teen Titans movie? Ooh, would you like to see Justice League and JSA team up? You know what, Stuart? If the CW was going to be sticking around a little bit more, I would love to see the CW Hourverse give us a JLA and JSA team up. JSA with Stargirl, some of those members, maybe some of its founding members, maybe coming together and having a crossover type event where you've got our actual CW Justice League that has a formation. I would love to see that, man.
Yeah, I would too. We have like a Justice League type of thing established now in the Arrowverse, even though they're not like calling it the Justice League, or at least not yet, anyways. And yeah, we have the Justice Society now as the main characters of Stargirl. So yeah, I feel like crossing them over would be so easy. And even if they didn't want to use the members of Stargirl because, like, let's say it's too expensive to fly them over to Atlanta, you still have the Justice Society that's been established within Legends of Tomorrow on Earth 1. So you literally have two options of who you can have them team up with. But regardless, even if they eventually were to build it up in the movies as well, I think that would be something that would be really cool to see, like a cinematic version of the Justice League and the Justice Society.
I mean, at this point, if we're not, I don't know what DC plans on doing, but who knows? Maybe if we wind up getting ourselves a flashpoint and we rework things, if they're not quite sure how to reestablish maybe a Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, or maybe still Wonder Woman. But I would love the idea to see maybe the JSA sort of become the new team that kind of leads the DCEU, if you will. And we're getting some of the JSA introduced in the Black Adam movie that we're going to be getting from Rock the Dwayne Johnson. Or Dwayne the Rock Johnson, I should say. So possibilities are endless. We'll see what happens, especially with the multiverse that they're tapping into. Would you like to see a Teen Titans movie? We actually have had a Teen Titans animated movie, right? Teen Titans Go, didn't they do an animated movie?
Yeah, and it was kind of funny, but obviously in terms of like a serious like Teen Titans movie, yes, I would really love to see it, but I don't know. I'm very particular with my Titans because, you know, for me, Teen Titans is like my favorite franchise of all time. So it'd be like one of those things where I would personally love to direct a Teen Titans movie myself, because I feel like there's so many amazing stories like within, especially the Jeff Johns run of Teen Titans, and the oh shoot, I can't believe Marv Wolfman, that was his name. And
Mhm.
especially with Marv Wolfman's new Teen Titans run that he did back in the 90s. Oh god, yeah, there's so much story potential that you could do with that. I would love to actually see like a full-length feature, like live action and everything.
Yeah, I would be down for that too, but I feel like there's a long way for them to go before they actually get there. You know what I mean? The idea of like
Mhm.
introducing sidekicks to characters we haven't even like been introduced to yet, that we're getting rebooted to maybe reintroduce us to again, type of thing.
Yeah.
But I would love to see it though, Stuart. I'm right there with you. Marcelino Vasquez has a couple comments and questions. He has a recommendation. He says, I recommend watching Ranger Review on YouTube. He used to review Power Rangers and Super Sentai, but stopped because of Copa threatened to take down his channel. I know that feeling. He now does a new segment called Forgotten Television, where he reviews movies and TV shows that have been long forgotten by the public. If you have a movie or a TV show that you would like to see him review, whether it's good or bad, suggest it. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
His questions, though: what did you think of Batwoman season 1? Personally, I liked it, but I will admit that it had its problems, but I think it was consistent in what it wanted to be. What did you think about the first season of Batwoman?
Yeah, kind of same thing. I thought it was all right. At a lot of times, I thought it was really good. There were some select episodes that I thought were really good, but I think the problem was it really had some bad pacing a lot of times.
Mm,
And just there were some decisions that Kate Kane would make her completely unlikable.
mm,
And there, you know, it comes to a thing where I think one of the problems is because you could tell that the writers really like writing the character of Alice, and they really didn't want to kill her off or anything. And because of that, you have so many really bad excuses as to why Kane doesn't ever try to take her down or take her in.
mm.
And so times like that, it's like really easy to see why people didn't really like Kate Kane's character in it.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you. For me, I love Rachel Scarston that plays Alice. I thought she was a really strong character. I haven't really watched too much of season 2 to see how she's faring, but I'm pretty sure they're probably tapping into her a lot based off of Ruby Rose not being there, new transition with a new Batwoman, things like that. You need to probably have somebody that can anchor that show, and it probably is the Alice character played by Rachel. But we'll see. I did enjoy what I certainly watched of the first season, though. And he asks, how do you guys decide on what to review? And are there certain topics, news, or articles that you guys won't review either because it's too controversial and you don't want to cause an uproar, or it's just not worth reviewing? Sometimes I feel like for me, it's just not worth reviewing, especially if it's just a bunch of negativity surrounding something that I don't even think feels like warrants attention. You know what I mean? That I know that if
Mhm.
we talk about, it's probably just going to garnish some hate towards it. I probably won't. Not to say that we pick topics that are just always going to be feel good moments. You know what I mean? I feel like we definitely do tackle a huge variety of different topics. But I mean, when I pick it out, I usually just pick out what seems the most interesting to talk about. Based off of our viewership on our Facebook page, maybe what articles and news stories are garnishing a lot of attention, that we see is getting a big reach. People are reacting to it. I definitely will be one of the reasons why we talk about it maybe here on the show. But I don't think anything's ever too controversial for us to talk about. I think we don't mind giving giving our opinions on things. I think we're just picky about what we choose, especially if we feel like the story is just based around hating and shitting on something. Then I'm just not gonna pay that much attention to it, type of thing. But we just try and review what we personally enjoy watching. Marvel, DC. Every once in a while we'll do something from Netflix. It just depends on what our schedules are like. There's just so much good television that we can't always get to everything, just because we still all work full time, and we're trying to juggle that along with creating content for our YouTube pages and things like that. So we just review what we enjoy and what we think the general public will enjoy also.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. Let's see here. So great questions, Marcelino. Thank you very much for those. Dino AJ, he's got a couple questions. What did you guys think of the surprise reveal of Thomas Ian Griffith returning as Terry Silver on Cobra Kai season 4? How do you think he will show up in this season? And do you think he will surprise Daniel, or maybe he changed since Karate Kid 3? No, Terry's not changing.
No,
Terry Silver's not.
there's no
Terry
way.
Silver, yeah, there's no way he's gonna come back a redeemed man in season 4. I mean, you want the epitome of evil in Karate Kid movies. Yeah, Terry Silver is a fantastic. He was like that perfect 90s villain for the time, you know, that slick back hair and just the evil look in his eyes, always just conniving son of a bitch type of thing, you know, like yeah, I can't. I'm so Cobra Kai would not be complete without Terry Silver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was the perfect addition for this season. I'm glad that, unlike another role that they announced earlier, I'm glad that they're not spoiling how he's coming into it and what kind of role he's going to be playing in the show.
They spoiled somebody else this for the season.
Oh, you haven't heard the big spoiler with certain character coming back and her role?
Oh, her role. Wait, are we getting the girl from the next Karate Kid?
Yeah, but there was a
Oh,
major spoiler about it in the article that announced it. I'm surprised you haven't heard about this. I'd say
no.
try not to look at the article because they spoil something big about her character.
Oh no. Okay. Damn, what was the actress's name? I just
I actually forget. I keep
um
thinking of her as the $1 million baby.
next Karate Kid. Why is her name dropping off my head? Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Hilary Swank as Julie. Yeah, I was gonna because Stuart, I swear to God, I was just gonna say after I said the Cobra Kai season is not complete unless there's a Terry. For me, I was gonna say, and you know who else needs to be in this show? Hilary Swank needs to come back as Julie at some point, just based off of her connection with Mr. Miyagi. So, are you sure that that's true? Has that like that she's returning?
I think I saw it from Variety, so I would assume so. I'll have to double check because this article came out a while ago, and I remember being really pissed off when I looked at it because it announced like the exact role that she'd be playing, and how it tied into it. And it was when they announced how it ties into things. That's when I'm like, no, that could have been such a cool reveal in the show. Why the hell did you have to spoil that?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any. This
Let me
heavy.com has a Cobra Kai star weighs on if Julie Pierce will appear, and that was April 7th of this year. Um, let me see here if there's anybody that talks. I love the next Karate Kid. I love all the films with the Miyagi verse, as our producers refer to it. So the first one, I love them all. Um, I would be so stoked to see Julie Pierce in this world, is what the actress said. The girl that plays Daniel's daughter referred to that. So that was April 7th of
Oh,
this year.
okay. So it may have been it may have been a what if then. Okay. So it
Uh,
may not have actually been confirmed.
Confirmed
Okay.
yet? Okay. Well, I will say this, Stuart. I mean, just hearing the fact that she says, I love all the films in the Miyagi verse, as our producers refer to it, if they refer to it as the Miyagi verse, there's no way Hilary Swank is not going to pop up at some point in time, whether that be season 4 or season 5. It would be a disservice to this Miyagi verse.
Okay, shit. Okay, so now it's actually okay, I'm seeing another article that has it like more as a rumor. So, okay, I may have misread the
Jumped the
article.
gun a
I
little bit?
try
Okay.
not to do that. I try not to do that. Usually, if it's a rumor, I try to make sure I'm specific that it's a rumor. Okay, so this is one of those few times I made an oopsie. This is not confirmed.
Okay.
What it was though is that I can't remember her name, but kind of the bratty bully from the
Oh,
previous movie.
yeah.
The rumor was that Hilary Swank was going to play her mom, and that would be like
Oh.
that would be her connection to Cobra Kai. But it sounds like that's just a rumor, so they may not actually go through with that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It looks as though even the head writers themselves have spoken about the idea. This comes to us from Cineblend back in December of 2022. Excuse me, December 22nd of last year. So maybe about it's almost 6 months ago. It says Cobra Kai writers have spoken about Hilary Swank, Julie Pierce coming to the show. They even said in our writers' room, we speak about literally every character that has appeared in the Miyagi verse. So it's obvious that we've spoken about Julie Pierce. As to whether or not she will return to the series, that's something you'll just have to wait for. Hilary Swank, if you're watching this show for God heaven forbid reason, I don't know why you're watching our show, but if you are, please come back to Cobra Kai. I just think it would be a perfect tying of the bow on a fantastic package that is Cobra Kai. Honestly, I just think it's hard not to do it. Again, if they're calling it the Miyagi verse and not the Daniel-san verse or the Karate Kid verse, if this is truly based around Miyagi, yeah, man, she's got to be a part of it in some way or another. But I kind of like that rumor about it, her being the mother to the girl from the Cobra Kai side of things, that kind of being her mom. But we'll see what happens, man. But I think it's cool. I hope they bring her back. But yeah, Terry Silver is going to be back, guys. So definitely look forward to it. We did put the teaser trailer of his return up on our Facebook page. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to do so, I believe there is a link to our Facebook page in the comment section box or the description box below. And yes, I do think that Daniel will be very surprised to see him, to say the least.
Oh yeah, he definitely won't be happy.
No, not at all. What did you guys think of the series finale of Black Lightning? Did it satisfy you, or was it a letdown? And how do you feel about the twist with Jen coming back and the new Jen, yada yada yada? Are you guys disappointed that Painkiller isn't being picked up, or you saw it coming? I love how AJ puts 3 or 5 questions into one question. He does that every time. What did you think about the season finale of Black Lightning? Have you had the chance to check it out?
Yeah, I did. I liked it for the most part. Wasn't a big fan of the Jen kind of fake out, especially because for 2 reasons. One, I feel like they didn't build it up at all. So this felt like a very much out of left field type of a thing. There was nothing to really hint at that this wasn't the actual Jen. In fact, they really seemed to want to concrete the idea that this is the new Jen. Yeah. And so there was that. So I wasn't really a big fan of that because of that reason. The other thing was that it was like they really wanted to give her arc that, the cop would be like kind of her main antagonist that she'd have to overcome. And with having both these obstacles together for a season finale or for a series finale, I thought it kind of came off as too much of a clusterfuck, because rather than having one really awesome ultimate showdown between, Jen and her main obstacle, you have 2 kind of half-assed obstacles at the end. And I think that's what kind of ruined her part of the thing. However, when it comes to everything revolving around Black Lightning and his struggle of being buried alive, which let me tell you, that is one of my biggest, like, I don't want to die that way kind of things. That is a scary freaking way to go. So with that, I think everything there, and that moment he had when he was like, about to kind of give up and like accept his death, and then had that conversation with his dad, I thought that was awesome. And then of course the final confrontation with Tobias was great, even though I will say the VFX for the spike going through with him did look really cheesy, but it's CW, so what do you expect? It looked cheesy, but I did overall think it was a very satisfying conclusion to that storyline that has been going on for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, I agree too. I thought it was really satisfying for me. I enjoyed the way that the series wrapped up. I had a really good time watching it. My only complaint is the same one as yours, Stuart, was in fact the whole Jennifer stuff, which, I do want to give Salim Akil a little bit of let up on him just a little bit for that crappy storyline, because I feel like maybe he was hit with China's departure, relatively maybe out of left field sort of thing. I don't know if he was expecting that, and then coming to realize that this is going to be your final season. So having to kind of work with her not being in every episode, but then still trying to give her a satisfying storyline, that definitely came across as we have no idea really what we're doing with her this season, or trying to make something out of nothing, if you will. And it very much felt that way to me. Like, I really enjoyed the idea of how they switched her out with JJ, because I agree with you. I felt like it was trying to be something that was going to be a permanent fix, but then the swerve at the very end, when you don't have hints of this being anything evil to begin with, and then it definitely had a lot more work to do with it. And I wonder if maybe the series had maybe like 15, 16 episodes. If they could have told that story maybe a little bit longer, with maybe 2 or 3 more episodes added to this season, I think that probably would have helped as well in regards to spacing it out, allowing yourself to tell more story. But the Jennifer stuff just rounded off in the way that I was not super pleased with. But the only thing I was pleased with having China back was the fact that we could say a correct farewell to the entire cast that started off from the very beginning in the show by having her back.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that issue with Jennifer that I thought for the most part, this was a really well handled season finale. And, only 4 seasons in, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I was expecting blockbuster, but they definitely hit me with some great moments in there, especially like you said, with all the Jefferson stuff, him being buried alive, him talking to his dad, the prayer and stuff, seeing him just come back with a vengeance and things like that once he got his powers and abilities back. It was definitely worth it for me. So a very satisfying ending with maybe a hiccup or two to round off, but I'm glad that you liked it, man. And we've already talked about the Painkiller not being picked up and the disappointment. Did I see it coming? I didn't necessarily see it coming. I probably should have not had my hopes set up, but I felt like we talked about it enough, talk about the idea of let's keep our fingers crossed because nothing is certain. I feel like we pushed that when we were talking about our reviews, and just unfortunate that we had to be correct in the sense of it not being picked up, but it does suck. Last question from him. We know that both Tom Cavanaugh and Carlos Valdez are both leaving the show towards the end of the season when it comes to The Flash. How do you think they are written out? And for Cisco, do you think for him, it's still wanting to live a normal life like Camilla, even though Eric Wallace clearly changed his character since After Crisis?
Man. I think they've already kind of set it up for him being written out of the show. With him just, wanting to spend his life with Camila. And I think if that was all they did, that would be fine. It was the fact that, so he's working literally a career job. Literally, this is what people do as a career, right? As a, technician for Star Labs and all that. And so I think his reasoning for wanting to leave in that sense, in the sense of, I don't want to waste my whole life here when, I have qualifications to work, this many other jobs and everything. It definitely comes off as like kind of a big middle finger for anyone who's maybe, not that high up of a level that he is, and they're working a job that they're very satisfied with, but maybe isn't, the ideal career job. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're working that kind of a job, because here's a guy working a super high end job and even he's not satisfied with that. So I don't know. I don't like that aspect of him leaving, and especially how they wrote that in as his biggest fear. That felt very out of character for Cisco for sure. But, the idea of him leaving to spend the rest of his life with Camilla, I don't mind. And I think they set that up really well. So which I think the next episode is when he and Camilla are going to be announcing it together that they're leaving to move to San Francisco or wherever. That was one of the cities they name dropped. So I don't know if that's still their plan in the show. But, I just, I think they've set it up in that sense really well. But for Tom Cavanaugh, I mean, they've already kind of written him out of the show as it is. He's already kind of not existing on Earth Prime anymore. Now the only one that exists is in the past. So I don't really think they need to write him out of the show because he's already kind of out of the show.
Yeah, I am going to miss him, honestly. Tom Cavanaugh. I absolutely loved him on this show.
Oh, yeah. Both of them are great actors for sure. And I'm definitely going to miss having them on the show.
Let's see here. And then we've got Doomsday. What are you most looking forward to in the Eternals movie? For me, I'm probably just looking forward to seeing how it connects to the bigger lore of the MCU. I really would like to see, and we talked about this when we did the review. I'm hoping that this movie does explore their mindset as to why they certainly haven't helped out Earth, or the Avengers in some of their past crises that they've come into contact with, especially the Thanos thing. I do wonder if it was certainly like a test of Earth, like them defeating Thanos might have opened up the eyes of this Eternals group and realized that they're far enough along in their development now, where not that they're equals per se, but that you can start opening yourself and putting yourself out there. So for me, I definitely want to see how it's connected to the bigger MCU lore. And a part of me too, Stuart, is kind of hoping that this gives us a little bit of a connection to, I'm gonna say it, the X-Men. I'm hoping that this is like a trickling, like the beginning of planting of some seeds in here. I don't know if they're ever gonna revisit the Inhumans concept, but if they can kind of manage to maybe blend the Inhumans concept with maybe the idea of mutants, like the Terrigen mist that kind of went across and planted itself in some people like very dormant until something kind of awakes inside of them. I'm kind of hoping maybe they go that route, but I don't really know. But for me, the connection to the MCU, how this is going to be treated for the future phase of the MCU. Like, is this going to lead to trail for breadcrumbs for the MCU? And for me, probably the love triangle. I'm fascinated to see what a love triangle is going to look like in an MCU movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for me, I'd say definitely, like what you said, seeing how it connects to the overall MCU lore. And I also just look forward to kind of just looking at it on a big screen, because some of the visuals, like I said, the filming locations and just overall the aesthetic of it looks absolutely incredible. Like not only from the designs of the characters, but from where they're filming at. There's a lot I'm looking forward to visually about this. And then, yeah, like you were saying, I look forward to seeing like how it all connects to the MCU, and I'm looking forward to all those articles that keep saying that this movie has the really big plot hole of, well, why didn't they help out during Infinity War and Endgame? I'm looking forward to seeing them shut up when the movie actually gives a really good explanation.
Yeah, they'll give an answer. Yeah, they'll give an answer.
Yeah, exactly.
If there is anything else I'm looking forward to, it's probably the cast in this movie. There's just so many top tier actors that I don't want to say that I never thought Salma Hayek would be in a Marvel movie. Angelina Jolie would be in a Marvel movie. I mean, there's a lot of names attached to this project that I really want to see what they bring to the MCU and how involved they're going to be just kind of going forward. One, do they make it out of this movie alive? And then two, just what the implications are certainly going to be going forward for a lot of these actors. So I'm really excited to see what the potential is just performance wise, and just having these heavy hitters in this movie. I think is going to go a long way.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right. Doomsday does have another question here. It says, what is your top 4 favorite Spider-Man heroes?
Specifically Spider-Man related heroes, right? All right. Definitely got to, I don't know, I guess I got to get the 2 obvious ones out of the way. Peter Parker and Miles Morales Spider-Man, definitely.
Yeah. It also says including Miles Morales. Yeah, he's definitely up there. I always wanted to, I was been a big fan of Ben Reilly. I've always wanted to see Ben Reilly, Peter Parker's clone, highlighted at some point, whether that be Scarlet Spider in the animated series or an actual movie itself. I would be down for having a Ben Reilly. He is in my top 4 for sure.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I also oh shoot, I just had the name and it just slipped.
Let's see here. I'm trying to think of Spider-Man heroes. I'm trying to think like what he means by that. Is it just like Spider-Man related characters? Because like a Spider-Man hero, a couple of things I think of is like Johnny Storm and Firestorm from like Spider-Man and Friends or something like that, right? They were always hanging out with Spidey, but I don't know if that's what he's referring to or if like he just means like supporting characters. I'm not sure. But we'll see. But
okay. Dang, it just keeps falling out of my head. I keep like thinking of it and then like it just like keeps leaving. Shit. Yeah, I'll come back to it in a second.
Yeah, you gotta stop smoking, man. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see here. All right, I think that's going to be actually it for all of our questions that we have. Oh, you found it?
Yeah, it was a Spider Noir. I loved
Oh yeah.
specifically from Into the Spider Verse. I just loved Nicolas Cage's like version of Spider Noir to the point where it's like I kind of want to see him play this same character in live action.
Yeah, he would be perfect for that role. You know who also stands out to me? Spider Punk.
Oh yeah,
I've always really, I don't know too much about his character, but design wise, I've always been a big fan of like the jean vest jacket sort of thing with the spikes and stuff. I really love just the punk rock look for
and
Spider
then
Punk. I'm a big
And
fan.
then lastly, of course, I got to give a shout out to a Spider-Man, the Japanese Spider-Man TV series.
You know, I'll give some love to Spider Gwen. I definitely do. I loved well, first off, I know they're not necessarily the same characters, but I loved Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man. And then I also love the idea. I think it's Haley Steinfeld that did the voice for Gwen, I believe, Spider Gwen in Into the Spider-Verse. So yeah, I love just the growth of how popular Spider Gwen has become over the years. Yeah, just some of our favorites. All right, but that's actually going to do it for all of our live viewer questions. If anything, Stuart, let's kind of skim the comments real quick and see if there's anything that we missed that we want to talk about.
I guess I'm going to start at the. Oh, never mind.
I'll grab this one real quick. Nathan Moore says something clearly happened between China and Crest. They were never in the same scene together. Damn, is that true?
I didn't want to bring that up just because I don't want to like spark any like fake rumors or anything. But yeah, that was something that that like I think Erickson pointed out when he was reviewing Black Lightning. There isn't a single scene in all of season 4 where the two of them have screen time together. Like the only time they even talk to each other is when Jefferson is on one side of the door and she's on the other side. So clearly like two different, they were clearly scenes that were filmed at very different times. So
interesting.
Like,
I haven't heard anything behind this. I haven't heard anything behind the scenes, but I am curious if something eventually will come out or not. But yeah, that clearly right now is just a theory though, just based off of how that season 4 wind up coming together. But I would be fascinated to know if there is any validity to it, though.
It's like, did you ever see Fate of the Furious, the 8th Fast and Furious movie? Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel, every scene that they're in together, it's like one of them was cropped into the scene because they couldn't be in the same room together because otherwise it always led to like a fight between the two of them. So they had to constantly keep them separated. So most of the reverse shot scenes are, it's like the other actor talking to like either like a tennis ball on a stick or just like a different actor.
Interesting, man. Yeah, that's super. Yeah, this drama. I have my next comment, unless you found one that you were gonna bring up.
Not yet. No.
Dino Real Soul says the cast confirmed a while back that Cobra Kai is not connected to the Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith reboot, even though Will Smith is one of the producers. Caleb Richardson says, "What's up, Caleb? Appreciate you coming through." It says that kind of sucks. I like the Jaden Kung Fu Kid. I would have been cool to see a karate versus Kung Fu season. That would be actually pretty cool. I would actually be open to that idea. I like the idea of karate versus Kung Fu season. I mean, granted, even though the movie was titled The Karate Kid, with Jackie Chan. Which I really enjoyed that movie too. I thought Jaden Smith did a brilliant job for such a young actor at the time. I thought Jackie Chan was incredible as well. But while that movie doesn't necessarily fit into the Miyagi verse per se, I would be open to it for a final season. What about you, Stuart? Would you?
I mean, I don't like, even if they don't like consider it canon now, I don't know why they can't consider it canon maybe next season, because all the names are different. So it's not like it's not like you have multiple versions of the same character. I think it's like weird because it's a similar enough premise, but it's like different enough to where they could totally go side by side. Because guess what? In real life, two different people can have the same kind of struggles. So,
Definitely.
why not? I
Definitely.
think it could work.
I think it could work too. Especially if they do maybe like an international tournament or something like that, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Um, I think that would be pretty cool. Let's see here. Caleb does say, with Amazon buying MGM, what do you think is going to happen to MGM's big physical media push they've been doing the past few years? Will MGM's movies and TV shows get put exclusively on Prime Video? I believe so. I'm very much under the impression. I don't know how long it's going to take for this merger to actually happen. It took like a year and a half for the Fox and Disney merger to happen. So maybe some of the stuff that they have will probably continue to drop on Epics, along with wherever else they certainly had plans. But once it's actually folded into Amazon, I'm probably expecting a lot of that stuff to now be Amazon exclusives or original series or movies type of thing.
Yeah. When it comes to the physical media stuff, I feel like that's kind of become dead at this point, which is too bad, because I used to be the guy that preferred owning physical media, but now with things constantly upgrading, with it now going from Blu-ray to 4K DVDs and then even so on and so forth, it's just going to keep changing. And then on top of that, now it's become a thing that based on what it is, what kind of physical media outlet you're distributing to, technically you don't own it. Now it's so bizarre that now your movie has to be owned by someone else if you're going to distribute it. That wasn't an issue with either DVDs or VHSs, but ever since Blu-rays, it became a thing where now Sony owns any movie that comes out on Blu-ray. It's like the physical release they own the rights to, or not fully own the rights to all distributions of it, but like when it comes to like the physical media of it, it's just, I don't know, to me that's like what makes the whole thing bizarre, and it's why people like aren't really releasing their movies on physical media, at least not in the quantity they used to. Now it's all going to streaming, and I totally understand why.
Yeah, I do miss with the idea of physical media dwindling away. You know what aspect of physical media I do miss? Like the commentary. I miss like a ton of the behind the scenes and commentary stuff that we used to have.
Exactly what I was going to say is that, with physical media kind of dying, I really hope streaming services start including special features that would normally be exclusive to DVDs.
I hope so too. Christopher Throbbing, going back to our Cobra Kai stuff, says it could also be a weird fever dream for Daniel in a filler episode. Hell, I'll take that too. I don't really know Cobra Kai to have too many filler episodes, but shit, I'd take a filler episode if it included Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith for sure, Christopher. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for coming through today.
Then here's one from
that's a good one.
Yeah, so it's basically asking about the 150th episode, whether it's going to be good. Personally, I actually think the 150th episode has a lot of potential behind it. I'm looking forward to it, especially with who they're bringing into it, who they're bringing back. And also, I'm hoping they do a lot better with Godspeed this time around, because that was such a disappointment in season 5. When I heard they were bringing in Godspeed, like my excitement like completely rose. And then when it turned out he was just a one-off villain of the week, that was such a disappointment. So I hope now with Crisis rewriting everything and with them having a new chance to rewrite Godspeed, I really hope they do better this season.
I hope so too. I'll probably give it a shot, even though I have no idea what's going on this season. The fact that it's 150th and I get to see the beautiful, was it Jessica Parker or Jessica? I think I remember her name, that does that plays Excess, Nora Allen. Yeah, I might check it out for sure. I might check it out. All right, guys. I think other than that, I think that's probably going to go ahead and do it for us here today in regards to your guys' live viewer questions, as well as tackling all of our topics for the day. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly coming through.
I don't know why I thought that was a really funny comment.
Yeah, own nothing, have everything.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, guys. But other than that, definitely let us know what you guys thought about some of our topics, some of our discussions in the comment section box below after this particular video winds up airing. We'll definitely go ahead and continue that conversation with you guys there if you certainly would like to. But in the meantime, Stuart, if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you, man?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter. There it is.
Yeah, I had to pull it up real quick for you. But guys, also do us a big favor. If you guys want to go ahead and support the channel in other ways outside of subscribing and hitting that like button, we actually do have ourselves a Patreon account. If you want to go ahead and help out monetarily, definitely go ahead and check us out at patreon.com/AplusOpinions. Well, we've got exclusive content there, early access content for you guys, a Discord community for you guys to choose from a $1 tier a month, $5 to $10 a month, whatever certainly works best for you. If you want to go ahead and continue to help us continue to grow our channel in any way, it definitely helps if you want to go ahead and support us there. If you can't support us monetarily, another fantastic way is always hit that like button. That big thumbs up certainly goes a long way on YouTube. Feel free to share our videos, and of course, always comment at the end of them, and then definitely go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, along with clicking that bell notification just in case when we do drop brand new videos or go live, you will certainly go ahead and be notified. If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right here at the top at AplusOpinions. Very active over on our Twitter page, as well as our main page, which is in fact our Facebook page, which will keep you up to date on all the news throughout the week. And then we talk about it and highlight it here for you guys every Sunday live at noon Central Time. So certainly join us next weekend as well. Guys, in the meantime, enjoy your Memorial Day. I don't know if you guys have days off tomorrow from work or not, but definitely enjoy it to say the least. But we'll certainly be back next weekend for you guys. But in the meantime, do us a big favor, as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.